Hello. It feels like it has been forever since we've seen you. And of course it has, because we've never seen you, because we can't see you. That's not how this works. Hello and welcome to Girls Run These Worlds. This is our campaign of Legacy Life Among the Ruins. I'm sorry, I couldn't help it. My name is Ella Watts. My pronouns are she, her. I am GMing this campaign, and it's been a little bit stopping and starting as we've all dealt with kind of life and the way that life works. But I hope that you very much enjoyed this story as much as I have. I think that this group of people are a wonderfully creative and interesting group of storytellers, and I love the story that they've built, and I'm really excited to see how we end it today. If you're new here, that's wild. This is the end of the campaign. I would recommend maybe going back in time and like watching some of the like pre done ones on YouTube. If you just want to jump in here, then you know what? Like I'm really excited for you to exercise your narrative skills to catch up with where we're at. I'm sure you'll have fun. But just in case you're new here, we're playing Legacy Life Among the Ruins, like I said. This is a wonderful game by Mina Mcjanda. She has an itch page where you can buy the PDF of the game. You can also occasionally find copies of the game in hardback in the wild. Those copies might have a different name on them because Mina's changed her name since she wrote it. But yeah, if you just like see this cover, that's the right game. It's a really cool game where each player runs a faction or family in a post-apocalyptic world, and we collaboratively play through decades and centuries as we see what's happened to the world and how those factions and families like ally and like have tension and so on and so forth. um I'm going to recap you in just a second, but before I do, some content warnings. Heads up that because this is a post apocalyptic game, we will be referencing things like violence, grief, natural disasters, like animal attacks. I say animal attacks as not so much a logical follow on from post apocalypse, but the direction we've gone with it is like really about like the natural world and stuff. We are also talking a bit about disability justice, but also therefore things like ableism. We're going to be touching on that lightly. It's not going to be like we're going to be role playing slurs and stuff, but at the same time, if you don't want to deal with that kind of thing, you don't have to watch this. That's okay. There are so many wonderful other videos to watch. As I mentioned, Girls Run These Worlds has a YouTube channel. You can check out a bunch of other wonderful campaigns on there, including with many of these wonderful players. I've told you, I've referenced them a few times now, so I'd love it if they could all introduce themselves to you. So each of my players, please could you give me your real name and pronouns? Just introduce yourself, and then also introduce your character's name and pronouns and what faction you're playing. We're going to start out with Angela.
Of course, I'm first. Hello there, everybody. My name is Angela Lemos Mogroveja. I use she, they pronouns. And this time around, I'm going to be playing Vesta Ves Orellana, who's using the playbook of the Sentinel and comes from the Lawgivers of the New Wasteland. I believe that's everything that you need from me.
I just need Vesta's pronouns, please.
Oh, she, her, or she. Actually, she, they. Same as me.
Cool. Okay.
That'd be me.
Um, Next up, please could I have Aaliyah?
Hello, I'm Aaliyah. I go with she, her pronouns. I have been playing the Librarian Order, conclave of people that have been collecting information. Today, I am going to place a group of clone people who have been collecting information in the wasteland. I will be playing the Envoy playlist or playbook. Solus is the character I am making, and yeah, and she goes with she, her pronouns.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Next up, Moz.
Um, Hi, I'm Maz. My pronouns are she, they. Uh, and I am playing Lysander Haven Kai, or known as Haven, uh, one of the Blue Wardens, the last few kind of remnants of the Songbird faction. Um, their pronouns are he, him.
Oh my gosh. Just see now, if you have been watching the whole series, then you will have felt what I just felt, which was like a real, like, kind of striking moment of like the last remnants of the songbirds. No. Okay. Next up, Casey, please.
Yeah. Hi, my name is Casey. I use they, them pronouns. I play the Arion faction, which are a group, it's like a traveling caravan of merchants, mostly trading in art, things, specifically things like photography, videography, etc. And today I am playing the last of the Arion faction, whose name is Sylvia or Sal, any pronouns.
Cool. Amazing. Okay, and last but certainly not least, Syrinx.
Hi, I'm Syrinx, she, her, and today I'll be playing not the last of the Edenites, Sylvie Therg, a child who was born and raised in the Edenites and maybe questions the morals of it all now that society is getting back to normal.
Amazing. And what are Sylvie's pronouns?
She, her.
Amazing. Cool. Okay. So, gosh. So, last time we played, in fact, I'm just going to very briefly recap kind of the story so far. So the world ended. That was a whole thing. An asteroid, a massive asteroid, hit the center of the continent of North America, shattering it, and the resulting cataclysmic damage, like natural disasters, massively impacted the world's population, but also things like global infrastructure, everything from like internet to electrical grids, etc. Also, on that asteroid was some kind of strange life form, one about which we know very little, but seemed to trigger a kind of chain reaction of mutation in the natural flora and fauna of the world, leading to a dramatic and strange effects. Fungi that seem to be able to prolong people's lifespans, but also megafauna and like regular fauna becoming much bigger, and whole new species altogether. In the wake and the immediate wake of this disaster, the biggest problem was food. No one was really sure how they were going to feed themselves going into the winter in the first year of the apocalypse. And representatives of these five factions came together. At that time, they weren't necessarily all kind of thinking of themselves as political factions. Some of them were more organized than others, but they all came together and found their way into a seed bank, finding the seeds that they needed to sow crops and actually like kind of like kickstart agriculture again, led to this group of people gaining a somewhat like mythical legendary status among all of the survivors of the apocalypse, as like the survivors managed to like endure their first year and then their first decade and then their first century. Over time, these factions each came up with their own kind of like moral imperatives and stories, and they each kind of like had certain like things that were important to them, things that they had, things that they didn't have, problems that they were facing, and each faction interacted with the others in different kinds of ways. The Aryan, Casey's faction, the travelers and merchants were for a while the only point of contact between the songbirds, Moz's faction, which is a kind of like remote, like ocean underwater based kind of society, and the rest of the land based societies. And in fact, that was largely due to a close friendship between one member of the Aryan and a member of the songbirds. Meanwhile, the librarians, Leah's faction, were kind of quite well known for kind of traveling out and like archiving and keeping information. Like they interacted quite a lot with the survivors of the apocalypse, as did the Aegis Antlers faction, who specifically kind of made themselves like champions of the meek, as it were. Like they went out of their way to protect anyone who would, for whatever reason, not be able to protect themselves, was outnumbered, people who were being victimized because of like disability or left out of conversations. And meanwhile, the Edenites were kind of very much like the librarians bet on like who was going to save the world. The Edenites were really working with like this new natural flora and fauna. They seem to be making discoveries and leaps and bounds about biology and chemistry and medicine, and using these discoveries to figure out like a new way to live in this new world. Um, all of these factions were not without their problems. The librarians had a kind of technology that hid their kind of center of operations from the rest of the world, a mirror wall, a shield, but it seemed to be causing them memory loss. The Aegis were struggling to come to terms with how to like keep their kind of like legacy of violence sustainable and find a way to like not only harm but also heal both themselves and others. The Aryan like barely had anyone left, and notably, like one of them, the brother of their leader, had destroyed what was left of the global internet, coming with it like a massive loss of knowledge, information, and communication. the songbirds were questioning their isolationism, and the Edenites like were also kind of like in this kind of interesting place of wanting to share information with the other factions, but not being sure that they could trust the other factions to deal with the natural world in the way that they did. And so, kind of wanting to control how much information the other factions had about the things that they were dealing with. We saw a meeting of all of these groups at a essentially politically neutral pirate city on the edge of what was once Los Angeles, called Los Diablos. It was a very dramatic meeting, which most notably included the leader of the Aryan declaring that he was actually the brother of the person who destroyed the internet, which was a big revelation for most of the factions there, and in particular seemed to shatter the relationship that this character Dylan had had with Echo, the songbird representative, and may have had a cascading effect on how the songbirds view working with others. We now skip forward a couple centuries. And in those centuries, two wonders have been achieved. So in Legacy, your factions can like accrue resources and spend them to build wonders to change the world fundamentally in a massive way. And normally this happens like over a longer period of time, but we've got a limited amount of time to work with, so I'm just throwing resources all over the place. So I want every player here to tell me a little bit about like how the world has changed and what it looks like now. But the first two players that I'd like to talk to me, because I've got very specific things for you to answer, are the players who have built their wonders. Starting with Aaliyah. So Aaliyah, can you tell us like what the Great Network is and how it's changed the world, please?
Um, let me get here. The Great Network is kind of a replacement of the lost internet that was damaged by the Aryan rebel. No one no one blames the Aryan completely. What's left of them, they've had their problems. It was providing information and just communication between all of the factions, them getting what they need and what have you. Um, they've the librarians have actually stopped using the mirror wall and embraced a more communicative and network hub of the factions around. They realized their isolationism wasn't advantageous to anyone or anything, and so have opened the library up essentially as a hub for the Great Network. So it sends out to all of the different various settlements, wherever they are, wherever they may be, and keeps all of the factions connected and together. Um, in relation to the other wonder, the energy revolution, which I believe was Moz taking out, they don't have the librarians don't have the know-how of the engineering to how it works. We're wholly dependent on other people helping us keep energy powered for our network, but we're now a part of a huge distribution network that helps move that all around. So we're connected to all of the factions, and the factions can kind of use their surpluses and resources to cover needs and whatnot.
Amazing, thank you. Okay, so we've got this kind of like bustling central hub of information. People are more connected than they've ever been. They can find out their history, they can get information, they can verify information. And in this way, like the world changes. Like a lot of what happens in post-apocalyptic settings and what has happened in this setting is that superstition and suspicion and confusion and paranoia and conspiracy run rampant in a world that was accustomed to instant communication and no longer has it, and doesn't really know how to deal with not being able to answer those questions quickly and instead speculates. And with the invention of the Great Network, like we lose a lot of that speculation and paranoia and conspiracy. People feel a lot calmer about working together because they are able to verify and check information. They are able to talk to each other. They are able to understand what is happening in the world around them. Alrighty, next up. Moz, please could you tell me how the energy revolution has changed the world and what does that look like? What is this new form of energy?
Um, with the energy revolution, at least with the songbirds, it was definitely something with underwater, deep, something with the creatures, maybe um some I'm trying to this is where my brain of energy development comes in, I guess. Like hydrothermal vents or something with like any of the large leviathan life cycles or something that really have um are easy ways to kind of like tap into, and the more and more like the songbirds needed scouts and needed people to help build this or learn the engineering. They've kind of grown from their two cities to like living on the shore to coastal cities, and at that point it became weird to just be called the songbirds when the songbirds were a collection of people who are kind of like in a way refugees of like the fall. So and then they have built more and more people over the years because there are people drifting or anyone who are on, who are found at the coastlines. So as like this energy of like revolution was kind of sent and built and connected with the other factions and other people in the world, it just the name songbird kind of there's a meaning to it, there's a kind of feel to it, but now there's just so many um, that kind of have helped in this project that it's now just like this history or the something you've read in a textbook. um, there's still some people who kind of lead the charge or do certain things, but now that there are less of a council and more of a people, um, the information or things like that is just now studied about or taught like in stories. um, and with the energy revolution, the songbirds, or at least this new world that I'll share later, but like they sorry, one second. They've had like big like technological advancements. There's just really good diving suits, better energy, a little bit more of that, at least in the coastal cities, that Aryan like solar punk vibe has kind of like infiltrated through. And uh now that they're on the coastlines, um, there are like symbolism of like the moose coming for water, stuff like that, to kind of symbolize like that um, time where like the songbirds kind of like left the water. Um, and they at least with like bringing on Edenites to help with this or learn from the creatures of the deep. um, I'm just like wherever the songbirds are in like freshwater areas or creatures with like fungal growths on them, there's just like Edenite songbird weddings and like areas where like songbird children who were found out at sea like are able to kind of like join up with the Edenites and are like taught by people from the like the librarians and things like like different kinds of ways where like the songbird name kind of just like has dissipated because of it, but in a good way because there's just advancement, a great network plus good free energy. Kind of, I can see that where it just grows to a name that you used to know. Um, and then there are just like some groups that have that kind of tie back to it, like the Blue Wardens, who are kind of like the ones who um, it's like steam hearts or tide collars where they have like a little job, but their job really is to travel and kind of help everyone kind of get initiated if they don't have access to this energy source. um, and uh, in a way is like part of the original political structure of the songbirds, but they're kind of more the like, I don't know, energy people now. So they're just like going from place to place, like do you need internet access? uh, hello. I uh, I don't know how to describe it as like it was in the piece where there were people who went around who helped people get solar panels and things like that in that kind of way. So
I
it's
Yeah, no,
that's their
I
job.
see it. Like, you know how like you have like kind of like prehistoric megafauna and then you compare it to like the fauna of today and just like due to like kind of like competing space needs, like you have like giant kangaroo and then you have like a little kangaroo and like giant like whatever like rodent. Now you have a little one. And I feel like the kind of social timeline of the songbirds is you have these like fucking like fuck off 10-foot tall, heavily armed steam hearts like kind of thing. And then it's like your Wi-Fi guy and like this is
Mhm.
the evolutionary path of like yeah like that's the guy he's gonna turn up and
100%.
be like
Like
hey
their
buddy
badge of the steam hearts are fully used and like scraped off to like whatever the new energy revolution is with the like librarians and like there it's like scratched off and it has like the new symbol for the new areas that the songbirds are like taking over. So it's just the steam hearts you'll see like some of them are just like hello, we are here to offer you energy. Would you like to hear about this for 2 minutes? Uh, there's nothing you have to do. I just a quick installation of solar panels. We're just here to, we'll share how much you'll save this year.
I love this. I love this. And yeah, I guess like the songbirds, you know, you could say like the culture of the songbirds is nothing but an echo in the centuries as the diaspora kind of spreads out and assimilates. That's really 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 cool. Thank you, Moz. Okay. Next up, Syrinx. I want you to tell me about the Edenites, but specifically in terms of what the world looks like now. What is the relationship between people and the flora and fauna of this new world? Like, how have the Edenites affected that? Like, what does it look like now?
So, um, because the Edenites kind of got the chance ages ago to get support from everyone, I imagine that they have helped society as a whole, um, but also themselves. So it's very much a two-edged, double-edged sword. Um, I imagine that the Edenites have more and more so succeeded in making sure that humanity knows what's out there and is prepared for the stuff that's out there, um, while simultaneously also probably being the cause of some new things out there. Um, while they understand the animals and the fauna that's around, and they have cultivated that, they have also kind of decided to create new things and certain creatures that weren't there before due to the apocalypse are now there suddenly because of them. So especially around their campments, I also imagine that they have been able to grow more since also kind of accepting these other faction people into their family. um I imagine that just their population and the lands that they have grown severely, but then it would also be very clear that perhaps they built certain creatures like very tall, like tree-like creatures that just stand sentinel around these encampments that aren't seen anywhere else. It's stuff that the Edenites created, and is that good? Is that bad for humanity? No one else knows how these creatures function, and no one else knows what they are. Um, I feel like they accepted the aid from everyone and did provide in return a safety and a sort of more knowledge about the world around them. But in the same time, they bettered their own goals and were like, okay, we basically achieved what we wanted to achieve. Where do we go from here? And the route that they took was um instead of just curing people who were about to die or had an illness by injecting them with a certain spore or something else, instead of just doing that out of necessity, they started doing it out of want, out of let's see how far we can go, let's see what the outer reaches of this new world that we are in could be. um why stop here and in the symbiotic moment that they are, while they think that they can create much more and there might be even better an even more ideal form of humanity in the future. And I think that's maybe to talk on the conscience of the other factions, but I feel like some factions did involuntarily help in that, you know, where the songbirds have helped them get in touch with all of these aquatic creatures and specimen, and the librarians have helped them with knowledge and spreading and kind of giving them a second view on things where they were enlightened in some moments. Also being able to share their culture with others, so kind of being more and more mainstream in a way, and maybe less seen as freaks, made them more extreme in being freaks. Um,
Mm.
I think it's definitely the oh, no one looks up from someone with a spore eye now, but what else can we do? You know, um, yeah, I think it's they have both helped society and might be the detriment in the future.
Ooh, yeah, the shadows of danger to come is definitely there. Okay, cool, good to know. So like everyone has relaxed around the strange flora and fauna of this new world, but maybe in some cases they've relaxed too much. And also the flora and fauna of this new world is not only what was naturally there because of the asteroid, but also a result of a
It's
bunch of like Edenite
yeah,
experiments, and
it's
maybe not everyone
definitely
knows what's what.
It's definitely yeah, it's definitely that where someone would come visit like an Edenite encampment and they would see like huge, like odd, kind of scary creatures around there, but they would just be like, "Oh, it's the Edenites. It'll be fine." Like I'm sure they're studying it and stuff. And it's like the hidden meaning behind it of like, no, this they created that, but people don't question it anymore at this point, and that's dangerous.
Yeah. Ooh, okay, interesting. I'm excited to see how this all goes. Angela, you have been playing the Aegis throughout like the apocalypse. They are the lawgivers of the West bleh. They are the lawgivers of the Wasteland playbook. So please can you tell me what does justice look like in the world today?
Great. You gave me the most philosophically dense question. I love you for this. This is the correct question to give me. I I think there's been a lot more lenience than there was in previous years. Honestly, previous centuries. I think Miliana, one of the previous ones who was involved in past ages with the Aegis, her influence kind of reverberated in a different way once the Aegis decided to begin marrying into the Edenites, actually. I think there's been a subset of the Aegis that over time has become the majority of wanting to look at what's the idea of the cyborg, but in a very like naturalistic way. Like what is the overlap and interdependency that happens between the natural world and where disabled folk fit into it. And so there's been, I think, a lot of asking questions about what our relationship to the natural world is as part of thinking about justice. I think partially because I get this as a move from a mechanical standpoint, but partially because I think it's an interesting thing to imagine. So I have a pet fungal bear. I'm just gonna say that as a statement because I think previously it might have been a moose or a bear.
The
This
Aryan had moose, but y'all had bears. Because you were the fighty ones and they were the trady ones.
yes. We
Yes.
have bears. And I think part of what's happened and what a lot of the ages are asking now is what does it mean to be disabled and to be human anymore after having had so many years of at some points bonding with nature and becoming part of them, but trying to figure out what a symbiotic relationship to them means. I think we're having similar questions to what the Edenites are having, but instead of ours just being about like what is going to happen in relation to nature, ours is okay, so what does this mean for our relationships of care and support for one another in the future? Is it a priority to focus on human elements? Is it a priority to maintain the natural world? Because part of the on the mechanical side of what happened to the Aegis is that we lost the one big stronghold we had at one point during our lives. We scattered and we kind of took up with the Edenites in part out of survival. But now we're also trying to figure out what new home is going to be for us. And there's a lot of questions about, okay, the Edenites have been our closest friends. Everyone else has either been isolationists or grown in their own ways. What is it going to be for us now? Like, we started this wanting to care about the people who were ignored or, in our eyes, weren't considered human or having livable lives. Who are those people now? And what does it even mean to say people in a world where some of us are, our bodies are integrated with fungi, or we have near psychic bonds with the natural world? What does any of that mean? That's sort of, I think, what we're thinking about in regards to justice. Who is it for now?
Cool. Fascinating. I love it. Um, Amazing. Okay, so yeah, we've got this kind of like changing world and this changing landscape of kind of like increasingly strange life forms, increasingly strange human life forms, and the line between who is human and who is not is getting harder and harder to tell, especially at a glance. Like you never know if you're dealing with like, you know, some Edenite creature or if you're dealing with a person who just has a whole lot of fungus going on. And that's going to be kind of a difficult thing for this new world to navigate. Last but not least, Casey, you are the last of the Aryan. What happened to art in this world?
Oh man. Um.
Good luck, bud.
um. I don't think it's gone. I don't. Especially not because I just don't think they would have let it been. And so I think it's still there in whatever forms it may take. I do think that with the Great Network returning, one of the things that happened over this period of time is that a bunch of Aryan individuals went to assist with the development of the Great Network and kind of never came back from that. That the Aryan kind of fractured in different directions to uh, support different places, and also just, you know, by virtue of there was already like 7 of them, and that number just really never came back up. But when some of the Aryan went to go provide support to the network, I think they strongly advocated for bringing things like art and games and movies and videos and film and just all sorts of everything they could to preserve on the Great Network as part of uh, the new way that the world works. I think that they would have pretty strongly advocated for finding ways to preserve the things that they also cared about with the network. So I think in a lot of places the Aryan aren't there anymore, but their art is. And I think that's more the sentiment that they have around certain things. Sal specifically, as the last remaining Aryan, um, had this fun awesome thing happened during the energy revolution as the fortune that occurred for the Aryan, which is some sort of unknown miracle that transformed someone from your faction into something else. So Sal has been deeply affected by whatever sort of new form of energy, and I think this is and now is this kind of like semi-immortal, funky magic, partially magically affected person that has just a lot going on. And I think as part of this longer lifespan, what a lot of what they have been trying to do is compile and preserve everything, not in like museum type way, and more of like a art is still a living and breathing thing. And I think a lot of what Sal is trying to do is just make sure that things don't get forgotten completely. And yeah, so I don't feel like I answered that question fully.
No,
My
no, that
apologies.
was beautiful, and I loved it, and I think it did answer what I wanted to know, which is yeah, like I think I loved kind of the refrain you came back to, which is just like the Aryan wouldn't let art die. Of course, art is still there, and you know, like now maybe like there isn't like a faction that like champions it, but there is like lots of people. There are lots of people who remember it I remember what these people did. Plus, there is this strange avatar who is a new kind of life form in a different direction. Instead of kind of being the bioorganic kind of like strange mutation kind of thing, we've got this new kind of techno person, which is a little bit of an echo of this side of the story that we haven't seen much of, but we did see a glimpse of right at the very start of these like robots and like these kind of sentient or sapient robots and what they are or are not doing. Okay, thank you all very much. I feel like we've got a pretty good sense of like what the rough vibes are of the world that we're existing in is now. So let's get into the story. We're gonna zoom in, and we're gonna be playing with your characters. All of your characters are together. They are together in a kind of like a marsh like this phosphorescent marsh, so it's full of like bioluminescent pink and violet plants. There are kind of like glowing frogs that have this kind of like almost like acid kind of glow to their stripes. You can never really tell like where the ground is solid or where it's liquid here. And there's this kind of constant mist that smells kind of sweet but also cloying. There's a sense of decay in it. There are also like kind of thick carpets of fungus wherever you go. All of you are together. You're on an expedition. You have a piece of radar tech that I think it probably makes the most sense for either Haven or Solus to have. But this like kind of like little bleeping device is taking you in a direction to one specific point, and the reason is there's another meteor coming for your planet. And this time you knew about it in advance. Oh, that's good. So basically, you have about 6 hours to find an observatory, see whether or not you can make contact with this meteor, if that's even possible, and see if you can divert it before it hits the world again and kind of shatters everything you've built up. You have reason to believe that you might be able to communicate it with it because of the discoveries that the Edenites have made. They have a pretty strong theory. There is a pretty strong theory in the world today that whatever was on that first meteor was somehow sentient in some way. It wasn't just like a microorganism. It was something that like had a sentience and was deliberately essentially colonizing this world in the way that like many kind of like spreading kind of life forms do. Like we're used to seeing that on a planetary level. They think this might be on an interplanetary level. And they're hoping they might be able to divert it somewhere like nearby, like one of the other planets like Mars, and let it kind of colonize there because this world has already been colonized. You don't know that. That is a bet. That is a hope. That is a wish and a prayer. But you are all on this mission to try and like help this. Sal like was kind of an obvious choice because of your great age. People are hoping that you might be able to help also with this observatory and the tech. They're hoping that maybe like your technological like way of existing. The same with Haven, obviously, as an engineer, as a songbird engineer. We've got Vesta here as essentially again the muscle. Like there's a lot of wildlife out of here. This is a kind of like untamed part of the natural world. No one lives here. You're going deep into the ruins of what was once New York, and you are trying to find like a useful observatory. But this has been heavily colonized by the flora and fauna of this new world, and obviously we need an Edenite here to talk to all of that flora and fauna. So Sylvie has been put forward, but I suspect Syrinx, given what we've discussed about like Sylvie and Sylvie's relationship with the Edenites, I personally wonder whether this is, not to put too fine a point on it, a little bit of a suicide mission. And I wonder a little bit whether someone wanted to get Sylvie out of their hair and so sent Sylvie on this mission instead of
Uh,
like promising any of like the actual political leaders. Um,
Um, I'll also, what I was thinking though is, Sylvie will have quite a few mutations, and I imagined
ah,
that she was like one of the kids who actually from birth was given a bunch of stuff and came out of the womb even with like like different mutations where it's logical maybe to send someone who maybe has is feels different than normal humans would, and maybe has like through everything that's put in them and like has changed about them that maybe like the faction would hope if we send one of these kids, like who better, who better to understand the Edenite faction than someone who is like born and bred here and like has everything about them changed from us, right? Right. Um
Yeah.
that kind of thing.
Okay, cool. Yeah, like I completely agree with that. That makes sense to me. So yeah, you're in this thick, misty swamp. You've got 6 hours. You need to trek through this swamp into the ruins of New York, find this like what you believe to potentially be a working observatory. So you're essentially gonna need to scale a skyscraper using like jungle vines, evading like the creatures that are gonna get in your way. You need to successfully avoid any kind of debris or injuries. And then once you're up there, wake up this observatory, talk to an alien life form and try and convince it not to crash into your planet. Good luck! What do you want to do? Silence. What is Sal doing?
Um, okay, I think first of all, Sal does not travel alone. A couple months ago, Sal found this 4 to 5 year old kiddo alongside the road and has been taking him with them ever since. So it's Sal, his name is Noah, and their moose. The same moose that by this point I think has now been um, kind of almost like further taken by the flora and fauna. So like the antlers are kind of like twisted backwards and more of like this. I mean, like it's a big, cool, awesome moose. And I think Sal is up probably towards the front. Sal's pretty quiet. Doesn't say a lot unless prompted, but up in the front, trying to figure out a path forward, a safe path forward for everyone.
Nice. Okay, in that case, I want you to give me a surviving the wilderness roll, please. So
Sick.
this is a steel roll, I believe, although I've got to double check. And then just tell me what you get.
Okay, I got a 7.
It is a steal. It's wasteland survival. 7, great. That's a mixed success. So on a hit, pick one. The GM will give you further details. So basically, you will succeed, but I will give you one of these complications, and you can pick which complication you get. You lose something along the way. A member of your group is hurt or sick. An obstacle or threat is blocking your way back.
Let's go obstacle or threat is blocking our way back.
Okay, cool. Sal is kind of successfully navigating the way for you all. Casey, I'm imagining, but tell me if this feels right to you, that Sal maybe has some like super cool kind of camera eyes and so is able to
Oh,
see like more detail
totally.
than human eyes. Cool.
Yeah,
Like
I think Sal looks pretty humanoid, but if you like look at them for just like a second too long, almost like you're seeing it between blinks, their eyes flash over with this kind of like blue light, like crackles of energy through their veins.
that's so cool. That's so cool. I love that. Okay, cool. So yeah, like kind of like zooming in and like in that kind of classic like HUD kind of display that you might see in a movie of like, spots a
Hmm.
plant, like brings it up close, like okay, that's non-toxic. Okay, this is moving a bit. All right, that means it's stable ground. Is leading you all through these marshes safely despite the like infamously unstable ground that is one of the reasons why no one has ever settled here. Um, as you go, Sal, your hearing, which I am imagining is similarly kind of like a little bit superhuman, registers something behind you all. Now it's to your knowledge about a mile away, so right now we're okay. Um, but you hear this kind of like sliding of something heavy over soft grasses, a crunch and silt of like claws sinking into silt. You are aware that, and as you kind of like glance back over your shoulder, and I imagine keeping a pretty neutral expression for the sake of Noah, if no one else, just to make sure that everyone stays calm, you can kind of use your enhanced vision to see that there is one of the mega crocs behind you. We've seen one of these before a few centuries ago when our songbird Echo came on an expedition to the surface. These things are like normal crocodiles, but instead of being like 10, 15 feet long, they are 30 to 40 feet long, and streamed over with this like
Hey.
kind of bioluminescent kind of strange markings. This you can identify is a mother croc. She is going to be very protective of her nest, which you suspect is nearby. And so, if you want to go back the way you've come, you don't know how you all avoided her. Probably she was out getting some prey to bring back for her babies. But now she's back. If you want to come back this way, you're going to have to either fight the croc or you're going to have to walk a real long way around the swamp because this is
Okay.
her territory and she's not going to let you come backwards. Do you tell the
Cool.
rest of the group that she's there?
Do we have some sort of like earpiece or like way to talk to each other, like a radio type?
You use your mouth and talk to us because we're walking with you.
Okay, okay.
I was Syrinx on this, so I'm like, you could talk to us, but
Okay. Well, if we don't have any sort of cool earpiece, Sal
You
will
can still
just
have an earpiece, you know? I'll just answer you as is.
Okay. Sal will then flip around and towards everyone else go. Just as a heads up, I think there's one of those crocodiles up behind us about a mile. We probably want to be careful if we turn around. I haven't seen its nest, but we should all keep our eyes out.
you want me to go take care of it?
Oh, you know, possibly in the future if that becomes necessary.
You sure you don't want the future to be right now?
Do you?
I'm not
I don't think
opposed
it's a
to it.
threat.
I'm just asking. I think it's a fair enough question to ask.
Oh, it seems. I don't think it's a threat right now, but if it becomes one, yes, please.
Um, I'll turn around, swivel, and look at the crocodile. Also to paint the picture. I don't know if anyone else wants to do this, but imagine Sylvie as like a 18-year-old girl, looking pretty normal when she's like fully clothed and stuff, but her hands, when they peek out from like a long coat, they seem fully like grown over with like puffy, like purplish, it looks kind of moldy in a way, and I don't think anyone would want to touch it. um but as far as you can see, as her if her hands come out of the coat, they're like fully engulfed in this like puffy mold. um and otherwise she seems perfectly normal, except for when in her face both of her eyes are just fully um blank, like fully white over, but like in a glowing way where you have certain mushrooms that glow in the dark. In like a blue glowing way, her eyes are completely like that. There's no pupils in it, there's just blue glowing light from them. And this same kind of like mold, like puffy mold, almost spreading across her face. It actually looks like it's spreading, like it grew from her eyes over the rest of her head. But other than the eerie gaze, she seems like a sweet like teenage girl. um she turns and swivels and looks at the crocodile and then says, you know, if we wanted to, those crocodiles they're great for medicine against the cold. You know, if you wanted to, I know they use them a lot back at home.
How much time do we have left? Like, I imagine I have like a clock up somewhere that is to
Yes,
the second.
you
don't
you
have time.
absolutely like have like a ticking clock. I would say, let's say you've lost about an hour and a half, so you've got 4.5 hours until it's
Ha!
nighttime.
Yeah, no, so I think it's best if we continue to press forward and is going to
I mean, yeah, no one has a
continue.
cold, so
That's true. That's true. That's good.
Okay, Mars and Aaliyah. One of you, or perhaps both of you, working together, your characters has a device that is like showing you like this observatory, like essentially on a map, and telling you how far away you are from it. So like, who has the device? How are you using it? Tell me what's happening.
Maz, this one actually I don't have it, but having that exact thing is one of the family inheritance moves that the librarians have. So it would make a lot of sense that the librarian had that. But as we established earlier, they don't really know how to power any of their stuff. So that would make a reasonable argument as why Moz is around and helping. So that's how I would lay it out if you're okay with that, Moz.
100%. Love
Um,
it.
so yeah, I guess we're like trying to figure out how to make this thing work and see how far. I'm assuming it's just a rangefinder, not like a map or topography. Yeah, yeah.
It's essentially like blipping for you, and you've got a sense of like how far away what you're looking for is, but you don't like the reason that you need Sal and the others to kind of help you navigate this terrain is this all of this terrain is terrain that has never been mapped by anyone to the librarian's knowledge, even after the creation of the Great Network. It's just very dangerous space. There aren't really any natural resources here. No one really wanted to come this direction because it was just like very haunted and very dangerous. So yeah, you've
So
got a rough sense of where this object is, but
pretty much like New York nowadays.
yeah. Yeah. So what I'm going to say is, in order to use and keep using your device, I want you to give me um, an unearthed forgotten lore roll, which we're going to say is basically reflecting the two of you using your respective skills to like make this thing work. And unearthed forgotten lore is a lore roll. And what I'm going to say is, because the two of you are working together, um, one of you can do the role and one of you can help by adding a +1 to the other person's role. So it depends on who wants to do the role. Um, and then I'm going to give you a custom list of complications, because the complications I've got for this move don't really work here, but like it's fine. So yeah, who wants to roll, who wants to assist? And if you are assisting, you have to tell me how. And remember, if you assist another player with their role, you take both the negative and the positive consequences of their role. So if they roll bad, your character will also be impacted by that failure.
Do you have a good lore, Moz?
I have a +1.
I don't, because I'm much more of the talky envoy character. So I'll help you out, and
Yeah.
basically I'm
One
using.
of their skills is visionary archaeologist, and it kind of fits like them like
Yes.
knowing. So
Um,
definitely.
yeah, so I will just be using whatever knowledge I have of the wasteland. I have wasteland survival, which doesn't really help here because no one's ever been here, but I kind of know how things work in the world or whatnot, which is how I
I
feel.
I would like to say, like, as part of the Blue Wardens, Haven could have been trying to get Solus to be part of the group so they can travel together for like probably months now. They've been just like, back and forth. Like, I like your style. I like how you've been doing things. Like, kind of, it would be cool. And so in that way, that knowledge that you have for the Wasteland survival is just like what Haven doesn't have, and it's just that would be so great if I knew what was out there. That I can see that if that helps as
Oh,
well.
and Solus just is like completely nonplussed. Like this is what she does for her work and likes talking about like being out in the wilds and the wastelands and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
So she's just chatting, chatting, chatting. If you let her talk about weird wild stuff, she'll just keep going for hours.
Yeah, Haven. Well, he has this really scruffy beard, and he just keeps scratching at it, and he's completely immersed in what you're saying, like looking you over, just like just completely immersed in all the information, everything that you've seen. And I do a 2d6.
Yeah, 2d6, and then add your lore stat plus a +1 for Solus's help, and then tell me what you get.
That's a 9.
Nice. Okay, so that's a mixed success. So I'm gonna say that instead of the usual list we get for Unearthed Forgotten Lore. The first thing is it works. So you are able to use your device. You're able to keep using your device. You're still powering it, despite the fact that you are essentially like you're on the edge of like what is supported by the grid of your great energy network, because again, no one lives here. There's no reason to put energy out where no one is. And so, you know, it makes a lot of sense that Haven is out here essentially like doing a trial by fire of like, can we make this work remotely? We're gonna find out. And seeing like how far you can get from essentially civilization and the closest like power grid. How far away can you get before this device stops working? Because of course, if it stops working once you get into the thick of the ruins of New York and you've just got thousands of buildings and no idea which one this thing is in, oh boy, well that'll be fun for you as a complication. Instead I'm gonna say that we will give you a specific we will give you a specific result, which will be blip blip blip. Let me find it because I lost it like a silly girl because I put down my book. Please, well, I was going to say talk amongst yourselves. That doesn't really work here. Yeah. What dangers is it hiding? So you notice, Moz, Haven notices. And at first, I think that he might think it was a trick of the light. Like the light here is very kind of shifting and mirror-like. Like it's kind of a constant twilight, right? Because of the mist, because of the spores, because of the humidity. There's just like a lot of kind of like optical illusions. It's one of the reasons that it's so hard to like move through if you're kind of like a base edition human being that has not been enhanced either technologically or biologically. I don't know how to, like, if you're the original flavor. There's a lot of kind of like mirages and tricks of the light. And so I think at first Haven thinks it's a trick of the light, but then it happens like a few more times and he realizes that there's this one red dot on your device that is powerful and clear and is the thing that you are looking for. And every few heartbeats, there's just this of like just dozens and dozens of other red dots. And they're fainter, but they're also definitely there. Like it's surrounded. Now, what each of these dots means is that there is a significant power source or piece of technology from the world before. And you've like locked onto one because you're trying to find one specific device. But what this is suggesting to you is that there are dozens, if not hundreds, in very close proximity to the one you're looking for. Um, Now, I'm not going to make you roll for this because this is kind of a result of your previous roll. But what Haven knows is the world before ended in war. Like before the asteroid fell, it was already at war. It was already like society was already kind of collapsing as a result of the robots leaving, as a result of resource scarcity, as a result of climate collapse. And as a result, a lot of technology from the world before is dangerous. It is not always kind of cameras and maps and cool things. Like sometimes it's just fully bombs or like, like missiles or like it's trigger a satellite and that's gonna do something real scary. And so what you're essentially looking at is that you are all entering a technological minefield, and if you pick the wrong device, you might not only fail to get in touch with this asteroid, you might actually trigger a chain reaction of like New York City US government, US military defenses, which will nuke you and anyone nearby that it thinks are like an invader or a hostile force who's trying to take control of this technology.
Yay.
So as I don't know how to say this to you.
Just spit it out.
We might be
That's
fucked.
less. That's less than ideal. Group, I think we're gonna have to make a decision here. This looks to be a little trickier than we may have first suspected when we set out for this thing.
Did you lose the signal?
We
Did
got a
you expect the
signal.
end of the world to be easy?
Okay, fair.
Easy, sure, but blown off the side of a planet doesn't feel. Felt a little, I You're right. It wouldn't be easy. It wouldn't be easy. It wouldn't be. We've gotten signal for sure. We've gotten multiple
Right.
signals. The right one. Yeah, we have signals.
We've
Here.
got the big one though, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Big one. The big blinking dot right there. That's the one.
Mhm, mhm.
So we know where to go.
And these others.
Oh, there's
Well, we have to
multiple
pick the right
asteroids?
one, right?
We have to pick the right one.
Yeah, that's the problem.
Right.
We have to pick the right one. It's not that we don't know which is the right one. It's we have to pick the right one. Um
Is there any way to determine? Can we track the energy signature or anything like that?
I feel like we should go to the one that is blinking here, and maybe I can look into it. I feel like
Right.
with my I've seen ruins before, structures before, and I've been able to kind of, you know, um, study it a bit and understand it. Without seeing it, I can't give any answers now. But that's what we're working with here. There's a lot of stuff out there that if we pick the wrong one, could literally mean
Understood. And I will
got it.
I will hand it back.
Thank you.
Of
Um,
course.
quickly, Haven, if they're like at the edge or are they near any water or they're like they're not within the ruins, right?
No. You are currently you're like getting towards the end of the marshes, but yes, there are definitely like bodies of water all around you, like kind of like puddles. Some are deeper, some are shallower. Yeah.
They kind of pull out this like deflated kind of um it looks like a what are those heating pads where you like fill it up with water but it's deflated, and then he like presses a button and it kind of fills up and it looks like a bottle, and he puts in like something from his like armor that just like it has like the last coordinates information, and drops it in, and he takes it and like whips it out to sea, um and like it like does that little like circular thing, and this like bottle like lands, and you just see like a little beacon like and kind of disappear into the water. um a very advanced version of like a note in a bottle, and as it like sinks down with the weight, he just kind of turns, just well, at least someone will know we're here. This is all I can do, at least message wise. For now,
Good work.
yeah,
Let's
I,
keep going.
let's just get the heck out of here and get to it where we need to. Um, did Sylvie come with like one of the creatures?
Yeah,
I can't.
but do you want me to say what?
Of course.
Is
Uh,
it ruthless?
Imagine no, not the tree creature. Imagine like
You're
hovering
just like
over
about to
our
tell us that's
entire
100 yards back, just like
Yeah.
trying
It's like
to stay hidden.
behind
Like a
a tree,
cat
just
that's trying to. Yeah, exactly.
No, so no, not one of the giant like scary tree creatures. Those are very inefficient to travel with, don't you know it?
Mm. Mhm.
Um, they do have a creature with them, but it's like a like bigger dog, sized, fully black, um, with no eyes, and when their
Mhm.
mouth opens it kind of has like an acidic like green like hue from it. um but
That's
if the
nice.
mouth is closed and if you don't look at the no eyes it looks pretty cuddly.
If you
oh,
don't, no
with what's in
eyes.
the ocean.
Totally.
Yeah, with what's in the ocean, there's it's only scales, no fur to cuddle, so they're just like, this is perfect. This is like no eyes. What? You don't need eyes in the deep dark ocean. You need other senses. So they're just like, they look at Sylvie really quickly and just
Oh, I
Are they
know you want to
fashioned?
pet. I know you want to pet the dog. I will
Oh,
say,
I'm
maybe don't. Maybe first before you do any of that, like hold out your hand so they can sniff it. Because if you just like immediately touch them, they will. You don't want to lose your
I will
hand. It
yeah.
spills all over.
I'm guessing they're not ready for like helping us all get there quicker then.
I'm staring at a
Uh,
clock.
I want to say, like, whilst all this is
We're
happening,
walking while it's
um,
happening. I'm just trying to find a way to quickly get there. And Haven's like not trying to pet them. They're just trying to be like, oh, can they not carry us? Oh, okay. Okay. So they're just.
it's a
whilst
dog, and we're with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
I was thinking big. Sorry. When you said bigger dog, I was like, this. I was ready for this to be like a dire wolf, able to carry 6 to 8 passengers at the miles of like 35 to 40 miles per hour. Sorry.
whilst this
I went
conversation
there.
is happening, like, Vesta, where's your bear?
My bear and I are just looking at the group having this conversation, wondering why they're moving. I'm riding
Oh,
on the
we're
back of my
walking.
bear.
We're walking. We're for sure walking at this point.
No,
As soon as,
the
yeah.
pause to interact with the dog, with the fungal eyeless dog, which is not a phrase I ever thought I would say in any game ever. She's just walking. She's just riding her bear in the vague direction she was given of. Oh, one of these are the one points we need to go to. The moment you gave her a direction, she just started going.
I feel like
Unless
Vesta and Sal are riding up together at the beginning, and the rest of them are like, "Wow, I wonder if we could ride anything." And it's the moose and the bear next to each other, like,
the moose and the bear just look at each other like, what is with these people?
Sophie's like, you want to put 6 people on my dog, huh? My dog? Yeah.
Haven's thinking about the large Leviathan monster that can hold up to like 20 or 40 people, and they're just like, you can do that, right? Yeah. Yeah, this makes sense, right? What do you got? You got wings? Where's the button? There's a secret button.
For the record, my bear could probably hold at least one or two other people. If anyone wants a delightful name for a massive ass fucking bear that looks like it could deck people with poking them, her name is Cornucopia. You could call her Pia if you would like.
"That's beautiful."
She's essentially host to a massive cluster of fungal spores in her heart.
Oh, I love her. Okay, cool. So who is riding with who? Haven has this conversation, and Moz, if you'll allow me, I think that potentially what happens here is, Haven's having this slightly frustrating conversation with this teenage Edenite, and then just like turns and like sees through the corner of his eye like this fuck off big moose and bear, and it's like, oh wait, shit.
Were they always there?
Were they just watching me talk?
Yeah.
Okay.
So Haven Solus and Sylvie, who are you riding with? I'm gonna say my knowledge of North American wildlife is actually not that great, but my understanding is that moose are actually can be like bigger than longer than bears. So I'm gonna suggest that maybe 2 people go on the moose and 1 person goes on the bear. So
Or
it
ride my
kind of depends.
dog.
Oh, true, all of that.
Haven's just like, I knew it. I knew it.
The problem wasn't that the dog can't have people riding them, was that nobody asked properly whether or not you could
They were
ride
going
the
to.
dog.
They were trying to. They were trying to ask that.
I imagine everyone
they're-
hopping on the moose or the bear, and then like Sophie just like hops on the dog. It's like
Haven's gonna like walk. He's a very like big man, so he will help Solus like up, with his hand out to help them up the moose.
And Solus, completely like not something that has in the library. We're very utilitarian. You deal with your own thing. Thank you. And like hops up on the moose. She's very slight, very tiny, just a bookish type girl.
I'm guessing Noah is also up on the moose.
Yeah, probably
does-
sitting in front of Sal, like have, and then Sal's arms up around him.
So Noah like leans like and Sal like kind of dangerously far to the side, like trust in you is just so high that he's just like, I don't need to worry about balancing on the moose, Sal will catch me. So kind of like leans off the side, and Solus, from your perspective, you just see this like little monkey of a little kid just like kind of upside down with like the hair hanging down, just being like, hey, hi, did you decide to stop walking? It was weird that you were walking, actually. Like, we have
Hi.
a moose. Hi.
Noah, don't be rude.
We
Oh,
needed
sorry.
we
was
needed to
rude.
check some things
So,
on the map,
you had good reasons.
and now I'm happy to hop on the moose.
Yay! Moose time!
Oh my god! And Sal's gonna like get a second arm around and hoist Noah back to the center. Okay, we're all going to sit up, very shoulders back.
Okay.
Solid. This is you too. Shoulders back. We're going to sit tall. Think about balance. All right.
Think about. Are we thinking?
Haven's gonna
like
quietly whisper to Sal, just like, "There's a kid on the trip." Oh no. Oh no. And the beeping is just like beep 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 beep. Oh yeah, sit up, buddy, sit up. Yeah, just like they said.
Noah
no.
kind of like
It's okay.
twists around almost completely to like look up at Sal, and is kind of like, is it the balance? Is this the balance like not falling off the skateboard, or is it the balance like the spiritual balance of all things and the nature
That's
and the
that's a
people
good
and the
question, Noah. That's a
technology?
good question.
Yes.
It's a little bit of both, to be totally honest with you.
Okay. All right. Okay. Balance.
I just want to add the detail that Vess is like leaning back and forth without a care in the world on her bear, as if she is ignoring all advice from anybody.
Sal is
Is there
looking at
room
Vess
for
like
Haven
I
on
am
that bear?
trying to help right now. Are you serious?
Is there room for Haven on the bear?
Oh, and the bear?
Mhm.
Yes, if it's Haven, then yes.
Yeah, we can do 2 and 2.
Haven, has
Haven
a
will
beard,
just, like-
therefore all arguments are unnecessary at that point.
Is very uncomfortable where like the bear is maybe a little bit bigger than him, so he's like, are you sure about this, buddy? Just looking at the bear like like, and just like trying to give respectful, like, smell my hand, are you okay with this? And just like, okay, and then kind of like gets onto the back like, okay.
There's a I think a literal telepathic message that happens to Vess.
Oh, so we don't have radios, but we have telepathy.
Yes,
Hey,
telepathy.
Hey, did you
course.
learn beast speech over 2 centuries? No, you
Maybe,
ascended to
maybe.
godhood. You get other things. Let me have my beast speech, damn it.
You didn't ask if we had telepathic connections, silly. You only
Exactly.
I
asked
see
if we
the
had
error of
radios.
my ways now.
I
I'm
said
so
it in
sorry.
my backstory. We connected with animals. Get wrecked, Casey.
My God.
Go
All right.
for it.
Love
Have
and
at
life.
Tangents aside, she
Casey, that was
gives, there's
amazing.
like a noise that Haven hears. It just sounds like a and the bear says, "Why, yes, I would be very happy for them to join us on this trip and being on my back." They're like remarkably eloquent.
Well,
You're fine,
I
don't worry.
gratefully accept your acceptance.
I promise that should there be anyone who harm is going to fall on, it will likely be me, because I will be taking the first steps for all of us. She has a very unnerving smile as she says this, by the way.
Haven has no words. They're just holding onto the fur, just like, oh, this is new. What if all the fish in the sea could speak? What would they say? Like, kind of like tangent, and his brain is just going on that, like, like Wikipedia, kind of like, I don't know how the Great Network works. If everybody has kind of access to it in their hands, or like a chip in their head at this point. I don't know what it's like, but his brain is just like, this is. You can talk to, and they kind of look over to Sylvie as if like, and then at the dog, like, you can talk to them.
We'd best be going, dear.
Oh,
That's not to get distracted.
yes, yes, no, never, will not be distracted by this at all, not at all.
So with these
Alright.
shenanigans occurring, you all kind of like start finish your journey through the marshes and come upon the ruins of New York. They strike the broken sky like shattered teeth. Endless blackened buildings that have been covered over and consumed by vines and fungi. Fungi that are impossibly huge, by the way. I mean, fungi that are the size of buses, like, fully like massive kind of cubs coming out and like sheltering the streets. Many of them are so draped in like moss and ivy and tree branches that it's hard to tell like where the fungus begins and where the other life forms like end, or if there even is that kind of separation between the two things. The fungus is kind of holding together everything together like this like infinite massive kind of soft fleshy mesh made of decay and made of the decaying life forms that were once in this city. It is huge and horrifying and awesome and beautiful in a terrible way. Everything smells of this sweet spore mist, and the same kind of light refractions are happening everywhere. We've still got that humidity, and this kind of like just faint kind of moisture in the air that all of you can feel. It's making your clothes cling to your skin. In your case, Sal, it's kind of interfering a little bit with the more mechanical parts of you. So, like, kind of system maintenance is kind of constantly happening. I'm imagining there's almost like the humanoid new robot life form version of like windscreen wipers on a car, of like just like every time you blink, kind of like having this like little kind of like cascade of reactions to like clear out the excess moisture from your body and keep everything working the way it should. The animals get a little like stiff and still, and like Pia definitely like communicates that like she feels unsettled in this place to you, Vesta, that this is kind of Pia. I don't know that Pia subscribes to any one religion. If she did, it certainly wouldn't be anything like any real world religions of the 21st century. But the best word that she can find in your shared telepathic understanding and in the vocabulary you share is that this is a sacred place, and that it is a place that things like her are not supposed to be. Like that this belongs to a life form and is important to that life form, and that life form is not her. And so she feels like she's going into something else's territory. It's making her feel uncomfortable. Sal, you're noticing the same with your moose, which is kind of like, the hooves are kind of like tramping on the ground. There's kind of this like kind of thing happening. And Sylvie, the same with your dog. Your dog is like just you can feel as you're riding it, like its hackles kind of rising, like the muscles, and the kind of like bristling of like fur underneath your hands. As there's just something about this. The ears are pressed back close against the skull. That none of these animals like being here. But I will say, Haven and Solus, with your team effort, your successful combined role, you have seemingly found your way to the building with the strongest signal. And as you kind of like move through these streets with your uncomfortable, tense animals and this like eerie quiet, like most of the ruins of North America, there's constant noise, right? Like it's like being in a jungle, like being in a rainforest. There's always birds, there's always some kind of howling or whooping or barking or screeching. There's always some kind of animal noise, or at the very least, like insect chirping and buzzing, mosquitoes, chamomile, remember? Like there's always something. But in this place, everything is very still, everything is very quiet. The only thing you can really hear is the distant whale song like sound of screeching, rusting metal shifting under the weight of concrete as buildings slowly fall towards the ground. Eventually, you find your way to the place you're looking for. A massive tower that was once like an observatory, that was sort of a boast in a lot of ways in this like end of the last world, because in the 21st century, when we want to build an observatory, we normally do it in a desert, because we're trying to avoid light pollution. But like what this old world, this highly technologically advanced world was trying to do was to prove that it could do things previously thought impossible. And so this tower stands significantly taller, 50 stories taller than any other building in New York, including the Empire State Building. It is one massive column like the Tower of Babel, an impossible feat of engineering that is endured in part because it was so new when the world ended that it was made of kind of like the most like kind of cutting edge technologies, materials, and so on and so forth. It is covered over with scabs of ivy and vines and mushrooms, but it is intact. And as you look up, you feel dizzy just trying to take in the height of this thing. And at the very top, high enough that it is not affected even by the light pollution of New York City, there is an observatory. And in that observatory, there is a way, you believe, to communicate with this asteroid before it hits your planet. And that is where we're going to cut to break. So we're going to take 15 minutes for a break. Everyone who's watching, please hydrate, take your meds, look after yourself, stretch, get up from your chairs if you've been standing in chairs, and we will see you in about 15 minutes time. And I'm excited to see how this kind of story ends, and what happens to our lovely characters. I think that it's gonna be fine. It's probably gonna be fine. Don't even worry about it. It'll be fine.
When the GM says it's fine.
Hello, welcome back. If you missed the first half of the session, our players are trying to stop the end of the world. No big deal. It's happened before. They can definitely handle it this time, right? The last time it went so well. So our players are attempting to scale a skyscraper in the ruins of New York City that is 50 stories taller than the Empire State Building, at the top of which is an observatory which they believe has the technology which will allow them to make contact with the alien life form on a meteor that is about to strike planet Earth, in kind of, Cataclysm 2.0. Um, our players start at the base of the building, and you're all going to need to figure out a way to climb this thing. Also, you don't know what may or may not be inside it. Also, there's a whole matter of two of our players, Haven and Solus, did figure out that there's a bunch of other technologies around here that may or may not be volatile and might react badly to one thing being switched on. If one thing switched on, a bunch of other things might also switch on. So you're going to have to be real careful about what you wake up and what you don't wake up. All right, so on our moose and our bear and our blind dog, we are at the base of kind of a mushroom covered skyscraper. First challenge is going to be figuring out how we're going to get up here. So this one is going to be a forge a path roll. So this is you use your force stat to try and forge a path to find your way up the building. I'm going to be honest with you, it's going to be more than one roll because it's a big building. Yes, Casey.
Question: can we see the top from here?
I don't think so. I think you or at least I think that if you're gonna try, it would be a real feat of skill. It is so far away, and also I mentioned before there's this very thick canopy of fungi and jungle and stuff, and there's also the mist and the rain and the stuff. So I think if you want to try and see, I'm probably gonna make you give me a wasteland survival steel roll. But just with your eyes, no, you can't see it.
I do have an ability to quote fly or travel to anywhere in sight, so there
Ooh.
is that. There is
Okay.
that, which is not everybody. But if we needed someone to drop a ladder or some sort of way for people to climb up, that could
Yeah.
maybe be how we get there.
So what I will say is I am very happy to say that you can use that ability, do some cool role playing for me, to show how cool it is to essentially scout ahead. And if you scout, then everyone else's roles on forging a path and getting up the tower will be easier. I will also say that if you get a really good result, you will get more information about potential hazards that are going to be in your way.
Okay.
And I'll add on to that because I feel like everyone made a good exploring character here. I have architectural eye, so uh, I when I explore the ruins, I can spend my hold 1/1 to roll plus steal when forging a path, identify and track a danger within the ruin, or find a way to use a ruin as a weapon, if
Cool.
that were to come up.
Cool, awesome. So, yeah, so normally, Forge a Path is a force roll, but you can essentially substitute force for steel if your steel stat is better than your force stat, because you have this different way of tackling these problems. And also the hold one is like you can save a +1 to add to your roll at a time of your choosing on a relevant roll. So you can be like, I want to use my +1 now. I want to, change this from a failure to a mixed success or a mixed success to a complete success, kind of thing. Is my understanding. I have not memorized all of the playbooks, but from what you said and from how the rules work, I'm pretty sure that's the case. Okay, so let's start with Sal. What does it look like when you fly up this building? Because I mean, first of all, you're
Okay.
gonna have like to get past the canopy. Noah's definitely interested in what the heck you're doing. Your moose is also pretty interested in what the heck you're doing. Yeah, paint us a picture.
Okay. So the ability is called Protean Form. Your body was comprehensively twisted, but you've gained some mastery over it. When you contort your body into a new configuration, roll plus steel, and then on a hit, you keep control and hold 2 or hold 3 on a 10 plus. So I think Sal is going to stop the moose in front of the tower, turn towards everyone and go, I think I could scout ahead, get up to the top, figure out a path, come back down if we think that'd be useful.
Oh, of course. That's perfect. It's
Yeah,
exactly what we need.
absolutely. Do you need someone to watch over Noah?
That would be great. And I will pick up Noah and flip around and hand him very gently to Solace.
Hi.
Solace.
Do you not
Hi!
like moose? I like moose.
Moose are pretty terrifying, but pretty cool. They're so big, aren't they?
They are
Okay, great.
so big, but they're not even like a little bit scary. Their teeth aren't even a little bit sharp, and they don't have any of the thingy where like if they bite you and then they make you sick and then they wait until you die, like how those big lizards do. Moose, if they bite you, it's just ouchies.
It's big
We'll
ouchies.
take care
Hey,
of them.
Thank you. And I'll hop off the moose and look towards Vess and go, You're all right down here? If I'm gone for a moment. You have them, Vess?
Do not worry. I have got everybody.
All right, I trust you. Um,
Unless the meteor hits right now,
well,
we've been
let's hope against that. I'll be right
Haven just like looks over to Solace as like,
back.
Solace like trying to entertain the young child because we all know how much spare time you have when you do that.
Just grabbing, like trying to like you point at the thing and like Noah sees it. And it's like, what's that? That looks really cool. It's making
nothing,
it's
nothing.
Oh.
Nope, it doesn't do anything. It has no TV shows, nothing, nothing.
At that, Solus takes out this like 200-year-old, it looks like a little disc or something, opens it up to show like this moving clock-like mechanism and says, would you like to see this, Noah?
Oh,
I for
And
real
yeah.
thought Solus would take out like a 200-page book and start like telling very boring stuff. But like I have something way more interesting.
well, this is the little device that was passed down to the librarians from the Aryan back in the day.
Whoa. But there's only one Aryan. Was it Sal?
It was someone who knew the library from very, very long ago, from before
Sal is
Saul.
very, very old. Oh. Before Sal?
I think
That's
at this
so
point,
long. Sorry.
Sal is going to trust that Solace has this at least mostly under control. Take a step forward and very gently like hold out both of their arms and focus. And that blue energy that normally like dances kind of behind their eyelids just radiates out. All of their veins light up this bright electric blue. And they are going to attempt to contort their arms into these almost like wing. If you've ever seen the Thunderbird in Horizon Zero Dawn, or like some sort of like robotic like recognizably bird-esque, but like kind of woven lashed together with these pieces of metal and strange technology and held tightly by these bright burning blue veins. Sal is going to like partially transform into this very different looking bird-like attempt to into this bird-like creature and take off, assuming I don't roll terribly for the first time on an important roll.
So this is still going to be a Forge of Path roll, so rolling with force, unless you would like to give me a reason why it would be a different stat. Always open to hearing it, because I'm going to be real with you, we're a little bit outside of what is covered by the standard rules here.
Bird hybrid person was not covered.
Yeah, you know, so yeah.
Okay. I think is it 2 rolls, because I have to roll to contort the body shape first and then hold 2 if it's a hit.
Oh, okay. Cool. Then roll for your body shape first.
Okay.
And we'll see what happens.
I got a 9 for that.
Great.
So I think I keep control, hold 2, and then do the
Now you do the
thing.
Forge of Path roll. So
Okay.
holding 2 means you add +2 to your roll, because you successfully contorted your body. You caught your breath. Was there something you needed to say?
Yeah, I was gonna say, could it be a plus steel roll, since I think Sal is mostly going to be relying on like the eye technology that we established earlier for the past roll.
Yeah, for sure. I think
Okay.
like, you know, Forge of Path is normally force, and it probably is going to come up in a minute, because it's like physical strength, right? Like it's like literally doing that thing like in The Last of Us, where they're like climbing up buildings and like lifting yourself up and stuff. But in this case, you're not really forcing your way through anything. You're not physically
Okay.
trying to break things. So yeah, go for it.
I got a 4, so I will spend both of the hold to turn that into. Oh no, wait,
That would still be
that
a
doesn't do
failure.
it. That's still a failure.
Okay, that's okay.
Okay,
That's okay.
cool.
You know, it's okay. Don't worry. Everything's fine.
Mark your bingo cards, folks. Casey is once again not past a
I'm
roll.
trying.
You
I
are very,
really
very
want
like
to.
yeah, no, listen, hey.
Fine.
Okay,
Whatever.
so
It's fine. I don't care.
no, no,
It's
no.
okay.
Oh baby. No, it's okay.
No,
So,
it's cool.
here's what we're gonna say. What happens here is, so normally on a mixed success, the results would be like you choose one, which is
I don't think I even
sorry,
got a mixed success. I think that's a
no,
full failure.
I know that. I'm using this as the inspiration for how I'm gonna
Okay.
impact you. So
All right.
so on a mixed success, you would have 2 of these, which is you're exposed to danger as you travel. The route you took is lost. You can't take gear or other characters with you. You take a lot longer than you expected. So I'm gonna say that you take longer. The way you found you can't take other characters through slash the route you took is lost, and you are exposed to unexpected danger. So here's what happens. um I think that Sal is used to flying in environments that are not like as close as this, and also probably just isn't used to being in like a metropolis city like New York was. Like I don't know that there's that many settlements in the post-apocalyptic world that are this tall and kind of narrow and cramped together like this, because the population is so much smaller. So first of all, just not having a good eye line or a lot of space, like you need like air currents and shit, and like air currents. There's a reason that planes don't fly between streets and cities, and it's because it's really fucking hard. So like for something as big as you to fly like in a street this narrow is just difficult. And so it takes you a minute. It's a lot more physical work than you were anticipating. Like actually beating wings is like it is an expenditure of force and exercise, so you're winded. Then you have to get through the canopy, and that's like a lot of like physically like moving things aside, trying to find like a gap. You essentially have to fly like horizontally for about a mile before you're able to find somewhere that like has enough of a gap that you can come up out of it, and then you have to find your way back because it's still like a jungle over the top. The canopy isn't one thin layer, it's vertical, right? And so it just first of all takes you a lot of time.
Yeah.
And then the second thing that happens is you can't see a clear way through from the outside that is gonna let anyone get in unless they can fly. Like essentially like there is like an entrance, like, but it's on the 27th story and there are no nearby buildings. It's like, yeah, sure, if they could jump to the 27th story then they could get in, but so far only you can do that. you do establish that there is a roof to the building and it is intact. You get high enough that you can confirm that. So you at least know that this isn't a pointless mission. You know that there is a way up. You also notice that, like, much higher up, where we're getting into like places where like the air is thin. Like, again, there's a reason that in like the real world we don't build buildings this high. Not as much like flora has grown around it, so there's like less of the tendrils, less of the mushrooms and stuff. So you have reason to believe that actually whatever is up there is pretty intact. So you do get this good news. But the other thing that happens as you're coming back down, is like you're very conscious. You've got this like kind of ticking clock, right? Like that you're kind of constantly paying attention to. It's been an hour, so before you had 4.5 hours. You
I
now
wasted
have,
an hour. I'm so sorry.
yep, you
Okay,
now
okay.
have about just under 3.5 hours. And so you're just like, okay, fuck it, like I need to get back to them quickly. So when you're coming down, you essentially punch through the canopy, like you do like a pin drop, like a dive,
Yeah.
and just let your body weight like pull you through. But as that happens, you hear, and maybe you wouldn't have heard if you weren't kind of changed the way that you are, but you hear this like tiny like and suddenly like everyone sees this just like mesh of red lights like kind of gridding across the street like a cat's cradle, and something just switched on and now seems, you don't really know what's going to happen next, but something switched on, and as like Sal lands, um like their body, like Z basically like fall a little, just a stumble, but as Z do, like those lights are broken and you hear the sound of a siren starting to go boop, 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 boop. None of you know what this means or what it will do. What do you do?
Okay, I think Sal like lands, hits the ground pretty hard and like bathed in that blue, right? But with like a little bit of the red reflecting on like the left side of them. Lands, changes back fully and goes, I set something off. I don't know what that is.
So what did you see, huh?
Sal's gonna blink and I think try to show them what he saw through his eyes, like projected against the ground. And it's this kind of like sped up track of everything that she just flew, kind of talk it through, like, right, so there's thinner up at the top, not as much life up there, a little harder to breathe. It doesn't look like there's a way you can get in unless I could fly with you, but it took me too long. I don't think I could get you there fast enough. We might need to go into the building, climb, see if there's some sort of elevator, but we ought to go with caution. I apologize. I don't know what that is.
It could be something harmless, honestly. It's fine. At least you got some look at it. So,
Oh, there
We
is a
know,
roof. It is there.
we know we can get up there, and we've never built an alarm that was an all clear at the library. Maybe we should just get in the building and see.
I think we have no other choice. We're running out of time.
Haven would like to uh use the visionary archaeologist
Mhm.
on this to kind of find a way up there that is quick.
Cool. So tell me what the roll does and then do it, please.
When you come upon a ruins of a structure from the world before, roll lore. On a success, I get to, or a mid success, I get to ask one question. On a success, I get to ask two.
Okay, go for it.
That is a 9, so I get to ask one.
Cool. Give me the question.
One is like, how is this broken and how can I repair it?
Okay. And you're asking about the building.
Mm-hmm. Or
I
I'm
the
guessing the sirens are coming from the building.
Oh yeah. Okay. Cool. I'm gonna answer everything because let's not quibble. So the sirens are not coming from the building. The sirens are a security measure from another building across the street. And what you suspect has happened is that, like, following the apocalypse, it was essentially like a failsafe which was running on reserve power, which was never triggered because no one ever came this way before, so it never switched on. But it is now switched on because it has finally, like, in that kind of like silly dumb computer logic way, where this is definitely not a sentient AI, has been like, well, the last thing that happened when I was powered on was a massive attack on the building, and now from my perspective, I've switched on again, and so it's been less than a second, and there is a person running around just after a huge explosion hit the building. And so basically, this is the building safety measures against, like, someone trying to, like, do some kind of attack on it. Um, as far as you can tell, like, the best way to escape this would be to get inside another building so that this one's, like, limited sensors can't see anything on the street, because clearly it's not that sophisticated if it couldn't figure out what actually happened, and movement on the street, like, at the level that Sal was the thing that triggered it. Like, so it's the height that they were at that was the problem. So as long as you get inside and out of sight and, like, away from these lasers, you should be good. But if you stay here, you are running out of time. It is going to start, like, deploying countermeasures, which is to say it's going to start shooting at the street any second now.
Haven immediately, like, picks up Solus, who has
Has the
Noah just
child? No.
from the bear, and just like, move, 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 and like whistles out to Sylvie, and just like look at the dog, like, in to whatever corner there is that they can kind of hide from view as quickly as possible. And if they can see a doorway or something like that, they would, like, kind of tell to Vesta right in front, just like, can this bear break down a door, or do we need to do anything ourselves?
Are you okay with doing that, Pia? And then just sort of like, I'm pretty certain gets an approval of yes.
Yep.
Just
They were
a
like,
bit.
good. And they look back to the moose and just like, same thing. We need another battering ram if this doesn't work. So we gotta go, okay? And they're going to look to they're going to get off the bear and let Vesta do what they need to.
So I'm gonna assume there's a role for me
Yep.
and the bear.
Yeah. So this is Forge a Path. You roll plus force, and I'm gonna say that you can add +2. I'm gonna say, for having a whole ass fucking bear. Normally, like, the most that you get is a +1, but this is kind of a desperate
It's a
situation, and
bear.
also you have a whole ass fucking bear. I feel like that should reflect some
My favorite.
additional force.
How many more times can you say the phrase "a whole ass fucking bear"? Because it's
Whole
very
ass fucking
amusing.
bear.
So that is a 9 plus the 1 from force plus the 3 from the bear. So that's 13.
Yeah. Okay. So that's a massive success. So yeah.
Yeet.
Yeah. So you actually, like, Antler, with that roll, I'm gonna say that you get inside, and everyone 3/4 of the way up the building. So I want you to give me kind of a montage of, like, how you're getting in, just to give you a sense of the landscape. That we're talking, like, shattered floors, we're talking, like, broken walls, we're talking, like, debris and furniture everywhere, we're talking on the lower levels, like, thick carpets of, like, kind of sticky, kind of like honeycomb pattern fungus, like, across the floors that, like, seems to kind of adhere to people's feet. We're talking, like, huge, like, kind of vines and things, insects, couple of birds, but not too many other, like, big animals on these lower levels. So yeah, narrate to me how Vesta gets everyone up, and everyone kind of, like, give me that role play of how you get up this building. Like, 3/4 of the way up a building that's 50 stories taller than the Empire State Building is a hell of a trek. You are essentially climbing a mountain vertically. Go.
I love this. I love this so much. I think there's actually a moment of like. Let me ask one quick question, Haven. Would you say Haven Maz is on edge?
No, he's a leader. So he's
Gotcha.
he's at the door, kind of like, go, go, go. Getting in, like, kind of a part of a group, so they're using that kind of knowledge to kind of work together.
I think there's a kind of calm that comes over Vess with knowing that this is a matter of, like, great urgence, and also it's a matter of navigating somewhere dangerous, which she is very used to doing. I want to note that however tall everyone else is, Vess is somewhere in the range of like 4'10". She is a tiny woman. She is a very tiny woman, and she, I think, is just very carefully, at least for the first bits, whenever the ground itself looks very innocuous, she's just like, just follow me. Do not step anywhere that I don't step, or else it will get you. And it will be very unclear what she means about saying that. And then she'll walk a few spots, and she has a bunch of random junk that she keeps in her pocket every now and then. And she like tosses what looks like the end of a bit of a mushroom cap. And I'm imagining the mycelium just kind of just try and like lash up to grab something. They get disturbed if you make any sort of sudden movement, so just follow me, please.
Yeah, I noticed, and Sylvie at the back of the group has like one foot in like half in one of those mycelium caps and is like slowly prying it out of it. Like mm, fascinating species actually. I don't think I've seen them with us. And oh look, there goes my toe.
Like just walking over like very calmly. It's like, dear, you don't want to bond with that one. That one is very codependent. Bad relationships, and just keeps carrying on. It's like that breed. Don't go with that one. You're too good for him. Uh, and just keeps moving a lot of people along. The moment it comes to climbing, she's just making sure the entire time people are safe, that people are secure, tied to one another. And if there's any spots that suddenly require a large amount of physical like movement and agility, she's surprisingly agile for a tiny little bean. She's she's just a scrappy little gal who just does the things.
I love this. And it also, you know, it makes sense, I think, especially around like the size of her, because of course, like she's able to find gaps that others might not see. Sorry, were you gonna say something?
Yeah, the since this was like a quick get in, Haven would try to look for something to kind of quickly get up this building that doesn't require stairs, something that was either built before they like this building was before the fall, correct? So it would be anything like that and remnants of like an elevator or something like that that you know would require like maybe like repair or something like that to kind of help, knowing fully well that 50 flights of stairs on anybody could be just terrifyingly hard. And we also have creatures, so it's like Haven would just kind of look through the bottom floor as quickly as possible and then look to Sal and kind of say like, um, you have to roll to use your flight, right? You can't just
Yeah.
fly.
Well, I think I'm still in that shape, so I think we're okay for now.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, I
Okay.
think at least that's my understanding.
Okay, but they would try to look for something like that to kind of help, if that's possible.
Can I help Haven look around for that sort of thing?
Yeah, for sure you can. Okay, so give me a plus steel roll, Moz, and you can add a +1 to it from help from Sal.
So 4, 5, 9. My steel is a +1, and then you said a +1 for help.
Yep.
That's 11.
Amazing. So yeah, like I will say, like as you're going and like Vesta is kind of leading the way. So the first couple stories you're able to manage, actually partly because you're not really using the staircase, because the staircase, such as it was kind of ruined by the shattering of the North American continent, which the impact of which did have an impact on this building. And so like most of the stairwells are kind of crumbled, and so actually like the paths that Vesta is able to lead you on, it's essentially like ramps that have been fallen out of like fallen floors, where like collapsed like flooring and like debris and stuff have kind of built up, like bearing in mind as well that we are like at this point a couple hundred years after the original fall. So like leaf mulch and soil and dirt and like things like that have kind of like accrued in places, meaning that you're essentially like in this weird hybrid of like partly a skyscraper but also kind of an organic like hill space that like in some cases
Mhm.
you're climbing up gravel slopes rather than like actual like stairs, like you're climbing up soil. Sometimes like you're trying to like get up and around trees and stuff, which cornucopia can handle. And then like luckily your moose cell is big enough that it can like actually pretty much like step up and then like bring itself up in a truly terrifying sight. Moose are so big. Anyway, eventually though you kind of get to this point, like I said, that Vesta gets you about 3/4 of the way there. And by this point, I think Haven has been like increasingly conscious of this potential like exhaustion. Like I don't think any of us really knows clearly how Sylvie works like as a life form, but I'm gonna guess that she's not as tired as a normal teenager would be at this point. Yeah, but we have established that Solus is kind of a bookish, like, non-athletic like a person, like, and this is like speed mountain climbing. So
Yeah.
if you are not like literally an Olympic athlete, you're gonna be tired, or superhuman in the case of two members of our group. So definitely like Solus and Noah are getting tired, and also the animals, like we get to a point where like the moose cannot keep following anymore. The bear might not be able to follow anymore. And so it's at this point that like Haven is able to, with Sal's help, I want to say, Casey, can I just give you X-ray vision? Are you good with that?
That'd be sick. Yeah.
Great. Okay, you've got X-ray vision. So Sal like is able to kind of see through like a bunch of like debris to essentially an industrial elevator. So, we can't have like people at the very top of the building in their gorgeous like restaurants like looking out over all of North America without them also having a massive kitchen and 5-star 5-course meals. And there has to be a way to get all of that produce up there. And so there actually is like an industrial elevator, like kind of hidden in the center of the building. And weirdly, like the efforts of these wealthy people to like hide the work of working class people from the rest of like the people in their offices, and their efforts to kind of put it at the back of the building and somewhere no one sees, means that the industrial elevator was pretty well protected from this like massive explosion because it was at the center of the building. And so it is still intact and its mechanism is still intact. And there's a couple of like empty food trolleys, and like, well, some of them are not empty, and they really like, actually, at this point it's been centuries, they don't even smell. There's just dust and weird dark stains. But like there's these kind of very rusting, kind of what were once like very fancy silver service food trolleys that you're able to kind of wheel out the way with a terrible screech. And there is enough space in this industrial elevator for a bear, a moose, and 5 people and a dog. Um, uh,
They
which will get you up to the penultimate floor.
yeah, they like will pick up Noah and kind of put them on their shoulders when they get tired.
Oh, you're so tall. Are you a moose?
Yes. Yeah,
Whoa!
yes, I'm a moose. And they
I
kind of
thought
like bend down to kind of make sure they don't hit their head.
I
Um
I thought that the songbirds, like Noah's like holding onto your shoulders. I thought the songbirds were like fish people. Do you have scales? Do you have gills? And you can feel these like sticky little child fingers like pulling at your collar to see if like your neck has gills on it.
no.
Noah.
Songbirds
Noah.
are not we're the hydrokin now. This is okay. Bumping your head is not what we want, Noah. I know. Okay, here, mess with this, and they kind of pull out this like little controller thing that has like probably very important information, and they're just like, it's fine, and they hand it to them, like,
Woo! Boop.
and it has like all like songbird stuff like scratched off, so you see the symbol and everything, and like they're like, this is actually, this is my great great grandfather, so you can have this one.
Oh,
But
Miss
You don't have to
Solus,
mess it.
Miss Solus, look, it's got
Oh, you know
information,
what?
and
Be
you like
careful.
information, and this one has information. He's like holding on like one arm onto the back of Haven's shirt and one arm like leaning back down because I imagine there's quite a distance between Haven's shoulders and Solus. like, um,
This was a bad
oh,
idea.
Aaliyah, you're muted.
Solus runs over, tries to calm the child from falling off of Haven's like shoulders and whatnot, and just like settle down, looking at Haven saying, moose now, eh? Nice.
They're just gonna like quietly thank Solus, like, and if Sal's nearby, kind of give them like this big pat on the shoulder, but kind of pretend as if they're like helping them into the elevator, and then just quietly like, you did right by looking up for us. I don't know if the kid kind of ran into whatever the shit was out there. I don't know what would have happened. So at least we had a warning. And then
Sal will kind
another
of
big pat.
Sal will kind of like put a hand back and thank you, and thanks for getting everyone inside. All right, does
And then
this
they'll press
elevator
the
work?
button. Yeah. Where's that button? And then just like stand like waiting for the doors to close. Just,
I think it closes faster if you. Then Sal's just gonna hit the other one.
You know what it would
That's
be
what I've
really
heard too.
cool
The
here
books
is
have
some
told
ambient
about this.
music.
I've read about this once.
45 seconds. Yeah, like Sal, just on your internal timer, like 45 seconds, 20 seconds, 0 seconds. Okay, we're now down into the final hour. As by this point, like it's, you know what, climbing like 60 stories of a broken building takes some time. I'm sorry, y'all. But yeah, and as Sylvie is like, like, isn't there supposed to be music? The doors slide shut, and through this like really tinny speaker, you hear not music, but the Skywish Corporation wishes to thank you for your service. Your service is so important to us. You are part of the Skywish family. Remember, when you work for Skywish, you too can touch the stars. Doo doo.
Sal has hit a little record button on their arm, so now just has that little audio fragment for.
I hate everything about this.
That
Not
was
me as a
horrible.
character, me as a person hates everything about
The
this.
family, we're a family. Haven's just like, did a family live here?
That's
I
alarming.
just had a
One
flashback
family?
to nonprofits, and it wasn't a good one.
Damn, I can touch the stars?
They used to do that. I
So
feel
the
like,
elevator rumbles upwards.
yeah, they're in the elevator. They're just like talking to Sylvie the entire time, just like, if they could touch the stars, and now you can do some more. Where? What
do you
were
think if I can
they?
touch the stars that I'm part of the family? Was I
Oh,
part
no,
of the
no,
family
no.
all along?
But I'm just saying, they could touch the stars, and you can do so much as part of the Ethanites. Are you from them? Is this your family? No, no,
the
no, no.
It's one of the
I mean-
things that the pre-fall cultures
I
used
think it's
to do a
an
lot.
advertisement.
Is it?
They would
Pre-fall-
call everything
oh.
family. Anyone they sold stuff to. It was very strange.
Oh, okay. Sylvie, sorry, I apologize. I just thought because they said they could touch the stars, and you you seem very
They had
intelligent.
these big families around too. There was a Walmart family and a McDonald's family.
Could we
We don't.
revisit the radar with the dozen
It's still blinking.
energy forces that we cannot touch? I
don't-
feel like since we're
It's
increasingly,
in the same.
I
You
feel
know,
like
in case a
They're
big
hiding it
meteor
from Noah. They're just like,
disappears.
I
I'm-
say like when Sal brings this up, you can all see that the face, the screen, where before there was just kind of like this faint, like ominous, like kind of like blips of like red light, as you're going up and as you're getting into the heart of this tower. And as specifically, you're moving from the part that has been destroyed by like decay and plant life and up into the bit that is still intact from pre-fall. Again, this is a very new building. It was built to last. It was built with these cutting edge technologies from the year 40,000, they thought it was going to last for centuries, and it has backups on backups. And as you get up, that little screen, it's no longer like one bright dot and a couple of faint ones. The entire screen is basically red. It's just bright red. And occasionally you can see like tiny little like fingernail slivers of like, missing stuff. But yeah, basically
They're just
that.
trying to hide it from Noah, or just like,
I think Sal will take Noah back. Well, has like a backpack or something. Sal's gonna take Noah back.
there's nothing we're
hey,
gonna learn from this except it's all bad. All
your
bad.
friend is a moose.
That's fantastic. That's great. Well done. Well done, Noah. Good investigation. And Sal
Wait,
is just
is
gonna
he
kind
call? Is he saying he's offended
Yeah,
the
I'm
moose?
referring. No. I'm saying that Haven is a moose.
Oh.
I'm saying your friend, Sal's friend Haven is a moose.
Uh,
Got it.
if there's
Right.
a moment after that where people don't really know what to say on it, the I will speak up. Do you ever just think we should let it hit us?
No, I don't think that, I suppose.
I have.
I don't know if we'll have a choice right now.
Sylvie, aren't you the one that's supposed to be able to communicate with it?
I mean, uh, sure, that's what my family would think, but how would I know? I've never talked to another meteor out there. I mean, sure, if you want to believe that, you can believe that. I'm just saying, what if we just let it hit us?
I'm just slightly concerned that if you are being sent to communicate with it, that you are not going to tell it to change anything.
I mean, I don't necessarily want everything gone, but some of it is bad. I I mean, you all must know that, right? That maybe even better than me. As I said, have you ever thought about just letting it
I
hit us and
know.
giving the chance to everyone else or whatever remains to start over, you know?
I know that the last time we got any sort of thing like that on this planet, we didn't have any notice. We didn't have this chance to go stop it. And because we didn't have that chance, lives got stopped. Things got interrupted. We lost knowledge. Like we've pulled some things together now, but it's all really, really fragile right now. I wouldn't want to go back to where we were when that first rock hit. If there's anything I can do, I think we should do it. If not for us,
There's
then for Noah, for the kids that come later, for the next ones. We don't get to choose if they don't have a place to grow up. Or at least we can choose to see if we can save it, make something better than what was given to us.
Sylvie, there is no perfect world out there. There is only the one we live in now. And so we fight to make it better. There's not much else you can do.
Yeah, but do you ever think for what? I mean for the Noahs of this world? For every Noah there is on this world, there's at least 5 who are worse. And you're also gonna leave the planet to them. If you
Yeah,
leave things as they are right now.
it's
yeah,
not
but
leaving
they're
anything if
not
we don't do
here.
anything. It's, yeah. We don't want to
They're
take the
not
chance away
here.
from them.
They're not the ones walking up these steps. You are. Your family has sent you here because they thought there was a chance. And you can choose to talk to the meteor how you wish, but for every 5 out there, there is one Noah. And for that one Noah, there could be a chance. And that little chance is what? And Haven kind of turns and goes 1, 2, 3, 4. What? This group? And Noah, yes, you too, Noah. And looks at Sylvie and kind of like kind of comes to her level. It's not about the 5 who are different. It's never about the 5 who, you know, against one Noah. It's about what we end up owing to each other. So if you're standing here and doing this with us, you have a chance to do it for that one person, just as your parents looked at you and said you're that one person who could understand that meteor. It's a small bet. Who knows? We probably might create something even worse than what that meteor would do. We never know what's going to go on 200 years from now. But here right now, if we have a little bit of a chance to make it a little brighter, or at least forestall whatever's happening next, I think that's something that we should do. That's why we came all the way out here, ventured out in whatever the heck that whole thing was. Thankfully, we didn't. Something didn't happen before. Do I think? You know what? I think a lot of things. I think when I was, I don't know, 15 and swimming, that one of the Leviathans would eat me up the moment they saw me. And I thought, why are we even trying to talk to these big beasts? What is the point of it? What the heck do we need for it? And those are fine things to think about. But right at this like pivotal moment, you are one little chance for someone like Noah, even if there's 5 other ones who are not good enough, to maybe have a little bit more time. That's all we can ask for.
But I don't think what they're doing is right.
Hmm.
I don't think it should continue.
Is that what you're worried about?
No one else seems to be.
Sylvie, have you taken time to speak to any of the other mushrooms or the plants or anything else around where you live?
I can't shut them out of my head.
Have you sat for a while with them and just talked to see what they're interested in?
I mean, it's difficult to just listen to them when there's a lot of other voices as well.
Well, I think there's something you got wrong with what you said earlier. With you were saying that for every one Noah, that there's 5 more other people who are bad. I don't think people is the right word for us anymore. And I think when she's saying us, she's sort of referring both to herself and to Sylvie for like what we are. Whatever we are, we're linked to nature now. We're linked to things that are beyond us. And even now in this place, and sort of just taking stock and imagining like the camera pulls back and it's like a massive overview of the city like all of the spreading vines, the terrible, monstrous sorts of things that we associate with it. But for every little pocket of that, there's also little spots where new medicinal herbs are found, where new different synthetic forms of life are found, where you see like a moose of an aquatic nature just going into the water. You see a massive leviathan like creature that's become bipedal and walking on the land, or is quadrupedal walking on the land. There's so many possibilities for what this could be, for what life could be. And I can't tell you that it's going to be good or bad. Frankly, I don't think I'm optimistic enough to believe there's going to be more good than bad. But I am optimistic enough, or at least hopeful enough, to think that there's potential. There's something in the world and the nature of just life existing that's very beautiful and very hopeful, because it means things don't have to keep going like they did before. They don't have to become all of the divisions and ruin that we had in the world before. They don't have to lead to conflicts and difficulties like our families have had before. And they don't have to end in destruction like so many things have done so before. You have a chance to shape and create something different. And I can't tell you, I can't take away your decision to say whether or not you want creation, destruction, ruin, or something in between. But I hope you understand as little as I do, and I'm sure you understand it even more. There's something quite beautiful about the way that life exists now, but the way that we exist with life and nature of this world, that I think makes me think we should try and keep it around for at least a bit longer. The very miracle of life is that it gives us potential and hope for something different. And difference doesn't go good or bad, it just is. But just a thought.
That's a good one.
And there's nothing saying that as long as we have another tomorrow, that you have to go back to your family. You have choices, and we have the network. You can choose to live your own life if that's a problem where you are.
That doesn't solve anything.
Only
I
a new
I mean,
tomorrow.
I've been sure we, my family and we're connected to nature in a way that others are. But nature has a way of taking over. And if nature takes over, then I won't be there. Then, but maybe none of us will, and and maybe then the problems will be solved as well. But um, you can sometimes feel it moving. It moves and I I I lost my toe back there. I didn't feel it. I I don't know if this is what it is like to feel human, and I don't know if we are the future of humanity, if this is what humanity should further become. That's just that's just what I why I said, have you ever thought about just letting it hit?
I have.
Haven is going to kind of pull Sylvie into like a hug and just like have like big arms like wrap around them and just kind of all right, little nestling, it's all right. this is a big question that I promise you I'm 35 and I probably don't know the answer to. So this is going to take a while. But what we can do right now is give you time to kind of figure it out. Whether that means staying with what you said that is worrying and trying to make it different, or leaving it all together like Sola said. But the chance of a full start over never really means good things. So when we get up there and when you are looking to talk to them, think of that if there was a tomorrow, how you could literally change it. Vesta's right. Life has many forms and it has evolved to the point that it needs you just as much as you need it.
I think
And
that. Oh, sorry.
they're just gonna like cut off and just like give them a really big hug. And um what is it? We'll only like kind of let go until they say they're okay.
I think that whilst this hug is happening, kind of Noah, who has been very quiet and big-eyed in the way that little kids are when grown-ups are having a tense conversation, kind of like pokes his head out over it, like the back of Sylvie's head and says, Sal says that it's really easy to die, but it's very hard to stay alive. Like, Faya, like, if I jump in this poisonous bog, then I'm gonna die. Or if I put my hand in the fire and then I put the clear liquid on the fire that smells really strong, then I'm gonna die. There are lots of very easy ways to die. But also it's really hard to stay alive because you have to like count how much water there is in your water bottle and how many snacks you have, and you have to check that your clothes are dry, and it's like a whole
Always.
thing. It's so boring. Um
It is.
but also Sal says that you can only be who you want to be and make the world what you want it to be if you stick around and try. Like, you can't fix it, but if you run away, then it'll definitely stay broken. So, like, I just think, I don't know, dying seems kind of interesting. Maybe there are loads of space aliens on the other side, and all of the
Haven's just
grown-ups
going
are
to like
scared.
put his hand really quickly and just being like, shh,
Okay.
shh, it's okay. It's okay. Come in for the hug too.
Go
You
to
need a
sleep.
hug
Go to
too.
sleep.
It's okay. Come in for the hug too.
Well,
Okay.
I don't mean like I mean just like if it turned out to be fun, then that would be cool. But it seems pretty scary, so maybe we don't want to do it. But also, I don't like that you feel like this is scary. If something one time a bee stung my toe, and it was the worst thing in the whole world, and I cried for a whole day. So like, if you just lost your toe and you didn't feel anything, that's like the worst. So we need to like fix you, and maybe we need to like give you there's a salve you can use
All
to get
right,
the
all right,
mushrooms
all
away.
right.
Um
And I think Sal's gonna
What
help.
Noah's? No, thank you, Noah.
Alright.
Thank you. And they
Thank
just
you,
like
Noah.
they like kind of look to Sylvie's toe and is like, I feel like if this is where humanity is, we're fine. We're fine. And they kind of look like if you want that toe, we'll get you a toe, I promise. But you look amazing, Sylvie. And if this is what humanity is, then this is what humanity is, and we'll be okay.
Hey, who knows? Maybe I'll talk to the meteor and no one will listen.
Maybe.
You know,
And it will still matter
that's-
that you tried, dear.
Haven will just do like a good pat
Big,
behind
big group hug.
Sal's. Yeah. Just with Sylvie in the center, just like big group hug, and then they'll pull like Noah in, and they'll come to like Vesta's arm and just like come in here, like, and like have that like final like big hug.
Big pile of humans sandwiched between a moose and a bear and a dog.
As it is meant to be. You have 45 minutes in world time, 20 minutes in real world time, but in fiction, 45 minutes until the end of the world. It's time to get up this final floor. So there's one floor left. And again, this part of the building is eerily intact. Like everything's fine. There are obviously no people here, not even bodies. But like there are desks and there are desk chairs and there are like turned off, presumably long powerless, but there are like shiny chrome, like what we would recognize as computers. Like there are rectangular devices emblazoned with different things on them. There are like there's labs. Like this like seems like a pretty like functional space, and the way up to the observatory is this like very ceremonial, beautiful, and must have been real fucking hard to get this high, like marble kind of staircase, one of those ones that like goes out to either side and like meets in the middle, and then comes up to these big double doors. And as you open the double doors, there's this incredible dome above you. And the dome is gridded with some kind of steel, probably like a steel, like combined with something else. But through it, and by this time, because it has been like several hours, it's getting dark, and you're so high that you can see the light going into deeper blue of the sky. You can see the stars above you, and looking up for a second, it feels like looking down into an ocean of infinite light. And then you lower your gaze and you see the rim of light blue across the horizon of the earth, where you can see the kind of haze of the curve of the earth itself. And from here, all of those ruins, like they're barely noticeable. They could be cliff faces. And there are kind of desks all around the circle of this room, various devices, lots and lots of buttons and gears and switches and levers. And in the center of the room, there is a telescope. You are hoping to make contact with a satellite that has been in orbit all this time and that you believe should be able to broadcast to anything kind of coming towards Earth's orbit. It can broadcast sound, it can broadcast images. It was, designed for potential contact with alien life. Obviously, we sent out all number of probes and satellites like into deep space, but we do also just have this one. Like this one was kind of built to just stay in orbit, just in case anything came here. And the first thing we're going to need to do is figure out what button to press. So this is going to be an unleash power roll. I'm going to need someone to come up with a device, and ideally it'll be someone who has a bunch of tech, because normally this role requires you to have tech. And you're then going to roll to see if you can make your device work, and help you find what you need. This is a law roll. Does anyone want to take this roll? Maybe Solus?
I am much more the talky person in this
Oh,
character.
yes, you did say this. Maybe Haven or
Haven or
Sylvia or Sal?
Sylvia. I think because you're both the doesn't. I think it's. Oh, I think it's the seeker that has something that works for that.
What is it that I get? I'm rolling again.
You need to roll law.
Sylvie, do you have better lore?
I have one lore.
I have a.
I
zero
could
lore.
I could do it. I have a +2.
Okay, cool. Sal, figure out which button we need to press, please. Roll me those dice.
Can one of us help for an extra plus on that?
Yes. Remembering that you will take the consequences if it goes badly.
I have an ability, Eternal
Yeah.
Memories. When you come upon a remnant of the fall, roll plus lore, and on a hit you get 1 data, and the GM tells you something you remember about it from before the world was broken. Can I kind
Nice.
of dual hit
Yeah,
that?
for sure, for sure, for sure. And I'm gonna say you can take a +1 that is gonna reflect Solus and Haven's device that is like telling you proximity.
Mhm,
Like
mhm.
at this point, as I said, the screen is basically a field of red, so it's not that useful right now, but you can still kind of like hold it and like look at it and see if it can give you any clues as to which of these like literally hundreds of buttons is the one that you need.
Okay, please, 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 please. Plus my lore, which is 2,
Plus
and plus
1 for the help
1,
from the others.
10.
Woo-hoo-hoo-hoo! Okay,
Oh my
that is
God.
a complete success. That's not even a mixed success. Amazing, fantastic work,
It took
Casey.
4 episodes for this to
Good
happen.
job.
You know, across
Thank
the
you.
whole course of
Thank
the
you.
campaign, this was the role you needed to succeed
The
on. and
arc we
you did
needed.
it. I'm so proud of you. You sure did roll those dice. Okay. Amazing. So, Sal, couple things. As you're looking around, you feel this cascade. And what's so cool about it, right, is that like Sal wasn't always like this, and Sal was made like this by the Great Network, and the Great Network was itself a revivification or cannibalization of the former internet of the world, right? So what you feel is this moment where it's like you trigger one memory and then it's just dominoes, and there's like a cascade of functions that trigger in your mind without you really intending it to happen, and suddenly you just by yourself are seeing like just this full 3D projection, this VR simulation of what this room used to look like, what it was. And then everyone else, Sal starts to glow with that blue light, that flicker through their eyes. And then she is broadcasting this 3D kind of hologram all around himself. And wherever they look, like there's just like these people moving to and fro. You can see like a logo, like Skywish organization, like over like in one corner. You can see people kind of moving to like a different devices. You can see a waiter kind of coming in, providing like a trolley of like coffee and people like kind of taking stuff and then like disappearing again in like a shower of sparks. And in all of this, yeah, Sal, you know exactly which button to press. You know exactly how this machine works. There are going to be no complications with actually switching this thing on or making contact because you know everything there is to know about it, because it's not you that remembers it. Sal isn't that old. Sal actually isn't more than 700 years old, but this knowledge was stored in the internet at one point in time. And therefore, like the kind of trigger sequence of like all of the memories, Sal has just a tiny little bit inside themselves that is like everything that ever was. And so Faye can access like any moment like from before the fall and like visualize it and show it to everyone around Zia self. So you do this, and we know what button to press. Like it's you know, just to the side, but in the center of the room, there's this kind of dial. You move over almost as if in a dream. You're kind of partly being kind of controlled by like, I mean, I want to call it muscle memory, but you know, what even is muscle memory anyway? A series of electrical impulses. And this series of electrical impulses leads you to kind of switch this thing on. There's kind of a hum. And as this kind of 3D hologram of the ghosts of the people that once were here disappear, you are all left in a quiet room. Just the whistle of the wind outside and the light of the night and the surface of the earth curving far away from you, and one flashing red light telling you that the broadcast is live. What do you do?
I think Sal is going to call all of that energy back into himself, and it just kind of vanishes in this blue glow beneath plates of their body and beneath into their eyes, and will stand there. And as their eyes kind of like return to this more like deeper brown, I think Sal is going to wait to hit the very last switch that turns it on. and look to Sylvie and go, "This is the button that was switched on. Any of the other ones won't work. If you would like to press it, it's this one right here." And Sylvie, I trust you, not because I have to, but because I want to. And I think we both are human enough. And is going to step back.
It's very cool when you glow up that way, you know, with all of the blue and
Thank you.
shining. It's very cool. All right. Yeah, I guess she like is tapping her hand against her leg in like a nervous way and like walks over to the button, uh looks um up at the people and then like quickly looks down again and presses it. Hello, Meteor. um if I well if I knew your name, I would tell you, hey, you. But I don't know your name. I don't even know if you have a name. You know, we also don't name everything that we meet. Uh, with me, I mean my family. Um, I do have a name. Uh, I'm Sylvie. Nice to not meet you yet because you're not here yet. But nice to see you. Um, maybe we'll meet. You know, if you if you decide to come here, maybe we'll meet. Um, but I guess for now we're just gonna talk like this, um, one way. Uh, if you can hear me, that is. Um, you know, are you doing this out of your own volition? Are you wanna come here and crash down, or is there something else making you? Because if there is, I know a thing or two about it. Uh, I I guess I could say I sympathize with you, but it's kind of difficult if you can't hear the response from the other person. Um, but yeah, I mean, if there is something making you do this, then then I guess whatever I'm telling you now is it doesn't matter, you know. Uh, maybe even everything I've said so far doesn't matter because you can't hear me and I'm talking to a rock planning to hit our planet. um, I guess then at least I'm just, you know, talking and just throwing my words out there in the universe. You know, if there is a small chance that you're doing this out of your own volition, I mean, I all of these people around me here and on the ground and everywhere have have sent me here to talk to you, and I don't know why. Uh, I honestly don't know why. Because Hey, between the two of us, I don't know how long I'll still be here myself. Um, I because of all of this fucked up shit my family is doing. And I don't know how long I'll be here. Maybe if you hit right now, I'll only be here 20 more minutes, but even if you don't hit right now, I can feel it in me, and everyone's talking about wanting to make a world for tomorrow and wanting to be there to build it. And I'm the one talking to you, you know? A person who will not be there to build it. But at least there's people wanting to build it, you know? At least there's people who want to take the chance to right the wrongs that the ones before us did. And I feel like that's a pattern for humanity. People want to make things right. And I mean, look at us. We already had one invasion. Look what it did. It it destroyed everything, and maybe it did make things better in a way for a time. But I mean, we're also working together, and I'm starting to understand that there will always be things wrong. And there will always be ones who make it bad for the others. Ones who make you think that maybe because of them, everything else shouldn't be around. But I also don't think, I think you should let them figure that out for themselves. And you should let them fight for righting their own wrongs. And there's no external force needed for that.
I think that at first, Sylvie, as you're saying this, there's just nothing. Like there's just that blip of the red light of the transmitter, right? And you have no idea like whether it's doing anything. And you keep talking and there's still nothing. There's no response. You can't even see this meteor in the sky. You know it's going to come very fast, but right now it's so far away. It's literally millions of miles away. You think maybe you can see a shooting star that could be it, but you finish talking and nothing happens. And for all of you, it's just silent. There's nothing. There's no one. There's the wind and the night and the stars. And then, Sylvie, you feel this kind of itching in your hands, like that fungus over your hands, and you see it kind of cracking and glowing a little bit. You feel that kind of tingling spread to your face, every part of you that's covered with it. You can feel the way that you constantly hear that constant noise of everything around you all the time because of what's been done to you. You feel something reaching out to you. And it doesn't use words, but you feel it curling around that concept that people do things wrong and then they try to make them right. and that's a pattern. You can feel it curling around that like a cat's tail, and it branches from you to the others, to Solus, and to Vesta, and to Haven, even to Noah, and to Sal, to the animals too, to the moose, to Cornucopia, the dog. And in the air you can all see these it's almost like the after image of light when you blink, these kind of fractal fractures like lightning of dust kind of in the air. And you feel, Sylvie, that question of like, is that true? And you feel this network, whatever it is, kind of connect with Sal, and Sal, you feel something like spreading through you, and you can't really tell if it's good. It is like some kind of like fungal tendrils like spreading all through the inside of your organs as it like takes over the way a parasite takes over a host. It creeps into your brain, and it connects with the bit of you that is a bit of the old internet, is a bit of the old world, is a bit of the great network. And Sylvie, you feel, you hear gunfire and explosions and bombs and whistles and air raid sirens and fires and screaming and shouting and weeping. And you hear that go on for so long it feels like forever. And then all of it falls quiet. And you hear muffled this one woman's voice shouting at someone. And then it's someone else's voice and they're speaking softly. And then it's a child's voice and they're laughing. And then there's cheering, and then there's stamping, and then there's marching, and then there's movement, and there are machines beeping, and they sound like hospital machines, and there are brooks running, and birds singing that were supposed to be dead and were brought back to life, and there is peace. And then there is screaming and weeping, and then there is cheering and singing. And so it goes, again and again. And this intelligence, whatever it is, pulls back, still curled around that concept that this is a pattern. And it lets go. An hour passes from when the meteor is supposed to hit. And then 2. After 6 hours, the sun rises. And you watch as the golden fingers of dawn stretch out across the ruins of this city that look like cliffs or mountains from here. And you watch day break across the earth. And that is where we will end our story. Thank you. Okay, so thank you everyone for watching. I'm sorry that I'm in the dark. I am at my friend's house and I don't know where the light is. But you know, it's fine. I can see my computer, but I've been slowly going into witness protection. You've been
It's been
watching...
awesome and creepy.
I thought it was
Hey!
the vibe there, yeah.
100% thought it was a thematic choice.
Right. I take it back. You know what? I should have learned from my life in theatre. You never admit something was a mistake. It was always on purpose.
Yeah.
This was a stylistic choice. Sure. So thank you for watching this campaign of Legacy on Girls Run These Worlds. I think it's a really wonderful game. I really strongly recommend you buying it, playing it, reading it. It's just a beautiful thing. Thank you to all of my fantastic players for playing with me today, and all of the weeks that we've played this game. You can check out all kinds of other cool Girls Run These World stuff on this Twitch channel and on YouTube. They've got regular games coming up. and they're all great. Before I give you all of our sign off and kind of signposts to what's happening next, I'd love our players to sign off and tell us where we can find them on the internet and what they're doing. Starting with Moss.
No, yeah, sorry, I was totally prepared. I'm Maz. You can find me on the internet as It's Mozzarella, or Star Call RPG, where I also stream and do world building and run games with new players and uh, what's the word and yes, I also voice act and stuff like that. So yeah, it's Mozzarella or Star Call RPG.
Okay, cool. Next up, Angela.
I'm glad to have the torch passed over from our very ghostly GM over there. My name is Angela Lemos Morvejo. I use she, they pronouns, and I have been the herald of the Aegis and the Valkyries. You can mostly find my stuff over on, if you want to give a direct support to me on Patreon at Phoenix24Fem, or the Philosophical Femme and different spaces as well. That is what I use. And if you want to potentially have me in a paid context for your games, I am available as a Start Playing Games GM, where I'm open to run different things like Demigods, Fabula Ultima, Slayers, and Monster Hearts 2. I have one shots up for all of those things for the rest of Pride Month, and your girl would love to run some games and just mildly tantalize you with apparently my inability to make anything but hot NPCs. So that's it.
We love hot NPCs. I have two monster fucker players who are determined that like every villain I ever give them will be someone that they can romance, and like honestly, I respect the grift. Okay, Aaliyah.
Hi, I'm Aaliyah. I go by Aaliyah the Sorceress. Mostly you can find me on Twitter because I'll go down with that shit, but I've been slowly trying to migrate to the blue one, Blue Sky. Yeah, this summer's really busy for me, so I don't know if you're going to see me coming up, but I'll be back in the fall. We'll come back for creepy season. Watch me on the Sorceress Aaliyah, wherever. I'll make announcements.
Yay, Casey.
What's up? My name is Casey. I use they them pronouns. I am on the internet at the Casey Fleming, which is kind of cheesy, but it is at this point too late to go back and fix that. So we're there. I produce lots of podcast stuff, and it's very fun and a very good time. And I succeeded one dice roll in this campaign.
Yeah, but it was a really important one.
It was an
honestly.
important one.
And last but certainly not least, Syrinx.
Hi, I'm Syrinx, she, her. You can find me on Instagram and Twitter as such. I love playing role playing games. And soon you'll be able to find me again on another show on The Wandering Inn, but I will communicate about that on my Twitter. And that's everything. Thank you.
Yay! I'm Ella Watts. My pronouns are she, her. You can find me on the internet at GEJ Watts. I do lots of stuff. Mainly right now, I run a thing called ZRX, which is an app, and we have they're like fitness audio drama apps. One's about zombies, one's about Marvel heroes. We are releasing we've announced it. It's fine. I'm allowed to do it. We're releasing an X-Men Pride special tomorrow. It was written by a trans writer. It stars a bunch of trans characters. It's really, really queer. It's delightful. It is an official Marvel Comics X-Men Pride special, and everyone in front of and behind the mic is queer. We've got bi people at all levels of like editorial stuff. Like, it's real fun. Do check it out. It's going to be just a fun romp if you like X-Men and queer stuff. Happy Pride. Okay, we're going to be raiding to Wild Witch RP. And just a little bit of some schedule stuff on Friday, tomorrow, 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Celebrate Pride and Juneteenth as the group solves a mystery at the center of reenactment group with storyteller Janie Potts. On Saturday, 1 p.m. Eastern, join Shahik in Unlost on Earth. This is a playthrough of Heart, the game by Grant Howard, and it's really, really cool. And Shahik is amazing. Beneath the surface of the earth, dangers beyond even the locals' imaginations lurk, and death is as mundane as breakfast. Whispers are heard about someone defying the heart itself. If you're not familiar with Heart, it's a really cool RPG where basically the entire campaign is set inside the titanic heart of a dead god, and everyone just like there's a whole city in there. Everyone lives inside the flesh of this dead god, and then it's as weird and fucked up as that would make it seem. It's gonna be really, really cool. Okay, thank you so much for watching. We hope you had as much fun as we did. Take care, everyone. Be good to yourselves and each other. Happy Pride.